Do either of you two remember that, like, what was the ad campaign that was like Real Men of Genius or some shit?
Yes.
Like, the sarcastic true American hero bullshit?
Yeah.
Well,
Today
from
we salute you, Mr. Was it Oh, I can't think.
oh
of what
yeah,
all of
that's
that.
right.
White
yeah.
t-shirt grill manning man.
That's
Oh
right.
yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
Real man of genius.
Yes, that.
Yeah.
We may get another round of that. Because
Really? They're bringing back the campaign?
Budweiser, official beer of esports.
What? Really? The official beer? Wait. I mean, I can understand for maybe like Street Fighter and those
I also
guys,
am-
but Smash Brothers. They're too
I
young.
also am surprised that it's not like this fucking Bang energy drink mixed with vodka is the official alcohol of esports, but apparently
Yeah.
they needed a beer.
And what a beer that they've chosen.
Right?
That really, Budweiser. I mean, yeah, Budweiser has
No,
really.
it's not really. It's of course it is. Like it's a sport. That's who sponsors sports. But now
That
I
is
kind
true.
of want like esports fan of legend presented by Budweiser.
I guess now officially esports is legit.
Yeah, it was fun.
Officially legit.
The question was, what would legitimize esports? Here we are.
Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, it's not
Finally.
like some tiny weird brand, took a chance on this. This is Budweiser. This is a massive company.
Finally, we
Massive.
can have the Counter-Strike Bud Light Lime finals. Or invitational.
Oh,
Oh,
Bud
Today
Light. Bud Light Lime, the perfect way to ruin a perfectly good lime flavor.
the Dota 2 Chilada Invitational.
Today we salute you, Mr. Camper in Counter-Strike. Mr. Camper in Counter-Strike! Your team moves forward to the objective, but you stay put.
Staying
team's
and
getting-
hiding.
Stay hiding. When your team's getting killed, don't worry. You stay right where you are.
Sure, your KDA is impressive. God, you didn't die once. Move like a ghost.
I can't wait to see all of those.
Please let this happen.
Okay, so we've got one for Counter-Strike. Let's do one for the FGC.
Oh, God.
Today we salute you, Mr. Deodorant-wearing competitor. Mr. Deodorant!
You understand, you stink. Both
It's
literally and figuratively. Why did you pick Ryu? Don't you know the matchup?
Welcome to the newly branded NES and WoW podcast. You are joined here today, episode 1, with myself, Alex, aka Made Online, and Nomad Har or Kraken Zero, aka Henry. Wait,
Hello.
hold on. Somebody else in the.
From Realm of Shadows, I return to put a beating on you two, who talked about fucking dentist appointments for 10 goddamn minutes last week, who think you want to talk more about WoW and have relevant and important things to say about consoles that are no longer important and can be replaced by emulators.
Oh, shit.
I,
Charlie,
trapped in a realm of shadow, sat there with throat of fire full of angry, stinging ants, and gathered my strength to return this week to seek vengeance upon what you two did to this glorious podcast.
Ruh-roh.
So I take it the NES WoW podcast, well, we did it 2019 to 2019, one
Yep.
episode.
Yep.
Yeah, basically.
Welcome. Hi, Charlie. Yeah, okay, so I'm just
I
gonna
was
step
real
into the
sick last
corner now.
week.
Oh, yeah. Dude, so, I know, it was a surprise. You never miss a podcast.
So I was gonna go and help Henry buy a new graphics card. on like the Friday before our podcast recording, I left work and was like, my throat literally feels like it's on fire and full of red carpenter ants stinging it, eating it constantly. I'm gonna go home and die for the next 2 days.
Oh.
Yeah. like physically breathing hurt for about 24 hours.
Oh.
It was not great. And Jen has also been sick with something similar. So we just kind of like sat in couch and bedroom, just like, and our dog's like, why is no one paying me attention? We're like, no, we don't want your affection right now. Both of us are concentrating on breathing.
Oh, that sucks. I know what it's like to be that fucking sick.
Yeah.
I think we all do.
Mm-hmm.
At least the podcast didn't burn to the ground while we were gone for one episode.
There were 5 minutes spent on root canals last week, I think. Just saying.
Well, when the cats are away, the mice will play.
Yep.
Yeah, and they get drunk, get in the opium supply, and go, we're making art! And they're just kind of rolling around in their own shit.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta argue with you on that.
The amount of dead air I had to cut out last week.
You should just
bad.
There was a minute where you two just stopped talking. I almost left it in because it was bad, but like it's the amount of post production that goes into these episodes is pretty high. But there was one where both of you like just ended on the same point, and then there was nothing. And I'm looking at it in kind of my automated stuff setup I put editing through, and I'm like, what the fuck happened here? I have to go look at that.
We both simultaneously fainted.
Yeah, you both like actively read it of things to say at the exact same time. I'm like, this is great. This is fucking amazing.
Yeah, batteries ran low, so just had to discharge for a second and come back on.
Yeah.
Quick reboot mentally.
Yeah, it had a vibe to that. Yeah.
Well, on the plus side, we made it through just fine.
Yes.
Although I was waiting. Go ahead.
So go with yours. I was actually gonna get this ball rolling again. So.
I said I was gonna say that I was hoping that any of my little taglines you'd come back with a fury, and sure enough, it worked.
Yep.
Oh no, I love the fact that you were like, oh, did you listen to the podcast? I'm like, check the show notes, and you were like, yeah.
I was so excited checking the show notes. Oh god, that was the best. I'm glad you're back. Please don't fire me.
No, we'll fire you out of a cannon, and then we'll expect you to show up for work the next day. Just because all your bones were broken by the company cannon is no reason to miss the podcast, Alex. I get you're going to spend the rest of your life breathing and drinking and eating through a tube, but I don't care. We have content to put
That's
out.
fair. That's fair. I respect that. That's fair.
Non-existent contract you signed.
Yeah.
Well, so I listened in last week, but what else? What have you two been up to since last week? I gotta ask.
So I think I mentioned I was playing Bloodstained, and so got a little more into that. I'm having fun playing that, but it's mainly because I like the Metroidvania.
Following that game, having not been a huge Castlevania fan, and like not really getting what Bloodstained is, sounds insane. Like there's farming in that game, apparently.
Well, that's what Symphony of the Night was like. You could technically farm experience.
No, I mean like
also...
there's actual farming. Like there's a patch. You grow ingredients to then bake into things for permanent boosts and also like mana regen.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a kitchen where you can bake stuff.
There's apparently a farm, like a garden patch by the entrance to the castle too.
Oh, I haven't gotten that yet.
Yeah, that's been the experience I've got with this game so far. Is like 5 people talking about the game and people like being like, "Oh yeah, you can do X, Y." And they're like, "No, you can't. I beat the game." Like, "Yes, you can. You go to this spot." And it's like, really? It's been trippy to follow.
Yeah, they've put a lot of extra stuff and secrets into it. I mean, that's the thing. Like, of the Kickstarter projects, this has been honestly by far the most impressive as far as the final product that they came out with. Like, they really went really far to make it as special as possible. Like the lengths, I mean, there again, I've mentioned this and I've talked about it, many times. It's just, I knew that it was going to be at least a complete project, but honestly, I'm impressed by just how far they went with it and how much they put into it. It's really amazing. But yeah, and I haven't even played it yet. I don't own it. I've just and I'm still on the fence about buying it, but I am impressed with both the breadth and depth of what they've done with the project.
Yeah, it seems that people that like Castle, like Metroidvanias, have a lot of good things to say about that game, especially in an era where we have lots of Metroidvanias that are as good, if not better, than what they're referencing occasionally. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
What's that game that came out last year? Not Hyper Light Drifter. We talked about it a bunch. It was real successful.
Dead Cells?
Dead Cells. Like, that game...
Yeah.
Like, the fact that people seem pretty stoked about this game the year after Dead Cells is impressive. Like, you'd figure people would be like, Metroidvanias, whatever. But no, apparently it's... Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a certain, there's certain games that come out that don't kind of really lose their shine. Like, it's not a fad like Battle Royales, if you will. Like, I feel like Metroidvanias always come in their own kind of flavor, and it's just accepted as a genre as opposed to, like what Battle Royales kind of become, which is more of a kind of feature that's a cliche at this point.
Yeah.
I think
Metroidvanias just kind of age well.
Are you implying my beloved Battle Chess is a flash in the pan?
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's interesting because, the thing is, the mechanics, the way it works, just makes sense as far as, like, any sort of, psychology of game design goes. I mean, the sort of risk-reward and the sort of having to work, like, actually having... You feel an accomplishment when you get that item that allows you to go into that other part of the game that you couldn't go to otherwise, like whether it be some sort of a double jump or some sort of a special weapon or other item.
Oh yeah, it's the basics of Metroidvania at that point, the backtracking kind of built into the game.
Yeah, and so it makes a lot of sense, and yeah, it's a tried and true formula that's simply going to continue to be valid simply because it's just like I said, in terms of game design, it makes a lot of sense and it's very coherent.
Yeah. As someone who does not like side-scrolling games, I have been tempted to check this thing out, and that's saying something, as Alex knows at that point.
Yeah, no, that's a lot. But even if you're not a big fan of side-scrollers...
No, that's exactly what I'm getting at. I'm like, it seems cool. Like, I like Symphony of the Night, but also not enough to play it more than once in my entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get that.
Yeah, no, I definitely recommend it. So...
Yeah.
Yeah, so other than kind of dabbling in a little bit of Bloodstained and all that, I am full swing in the new WoW patch right now.
All right.
Yeah, because we did have 8.2 come out, and it does look pretty good so far.
Tell me of the Sunken City, Alex.
Okay, so how we got to the Sunken City is kind of a fucking far-fetched idea, but there was a dagger that had remnants of an old god, it seemed like.
I want to play a game quickly. Give me all the parts that add up to the thing. Like it's the, like, is there a ritual?
Kinda?
So there's a dagger, there's a ritual. Did the dagger have to be plunged into something, thus severing its ties to this world and releasing a curse and or protection spell that held the waters across the island, keeping it sunk? And as a result, either a giant maelstrom appeared pushing back the water, or the city managed to float from the bottom of the ocean to the surface?
Okay, so let me give you a little context on this dagger real quick. So this dagger was actually the Shadow Priest artifact.
Yes,
weapon
I
from
sadly
Legion.
know this.
Yes. So, there's a quest line in the series where you find the dagger, you talk to the dagger, it tells you to go kill people for energy, then you go gather a couple of old rune stuff, then a ghost projects out of the dagger, and you're like, okay, whatever. And then eventually, Sylvanas gets a hold of the dagger through some weird shit, and the dagger tells her, hey, sail here. And she's like, okay. And so she takes the last remaining forces, heads out there, and Thanos holding the dagger in hand. The Alliance chase after us, and then, I guess, Queen Azshara was in on the whole thing with the Dagger's plan, and was like, okay, hey, let's go ahead and set the Tidestone. So she sets the Tidestone and then breaks away the water, and the boats sink down. But it's weird because the city didn't rise. It's just there are giant ocean walls.
Yeah.
Like a whole Moses parting the ocean.
Yeah, that's what's getting at by, like, a curse either pushes the water away or a protection thing happens. It's like, yeah. It's like in the center of a maelstrom at that point.
Yep, and the whole reason it stays open is because Queen Azshara's like, we'll keep it up until they amuse me no more, and then I'll bring it back. So we're pretty much just kind of questing and doing things in an area where a queen can literally just be like, you know what, I'm done holding the water up. I'll go ahead and close it back up now. So, seems kind of fucking weird, but yeah. But it's a really nice zone. It's obviously designed with, like, strong night elf, inspirations because, of course... Aesthetics, because she was, of course, a night elf prior to becoming the Naga queen, so...
Yeah, the Naga lore is some of the expanded WoW lore I actually like. The idea that the Night Elves are so tapped into magic that, like, it's... Rather than drowning, they just mutate into, essentially, mermaids.
Yeah, but see, they weren't actually turned into Naga by the Nightwell. The Nightwell caused the explosion.
Yeah.
That caused the riptide, if you will. But the actual transformation to the Nagas was caused by an old god. Yeah. And a deal that Queen Azshara made.
But the fact that you're so tapped into magic, it's like, yeah, we can mutate an entire race. Fuck it, who cares? Like, over time? Yeah. Nah, like, instant.
Yep, pretty much. So, but yeah, there's a lot to do. A lot of fun stuff to do right now. I'm actually working on trying to get my characters caught up to use the new essences. I am going to make an elemental shaman this right here. So
have they made that whole artifact armor thing any better?
Yeah, they made it so that we don't have to grind out new levels to unlock the traits. Now we just get the traits off the weapon or off the armor. So we're not sitting there trying to farm out specific things now. They actually, if anything, added a little bit more to it because now the actual artifact item, which is the necklace, does something. So so now we have it. Basically unlocks 3 Azurite essences on there.
What level of bling do I have to get my necklace to make it actually useful at this point?
At the start, 50, and then it's 55, and then I think 65.
How much ice is in a level 50 bling necklace?
A lot of ice.
Okay.
Maximum ice. But it's interesting because what they did now is you get essences you can swap out like talents, and depending on what bonuses the essences give, some will be better as a major essence, and then you get 2 minor essences.
Wait, so it's now a ghost necklace?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
But it's still a necklace.
Well, yeah, it's where you put ghosts, Alex. You can't put a ghost in a ring. Everyone knows that.
Minimum a necklace.
Yeah, a necklace or other neck-based thing, because the beating of your heart is what keeps the ghost calm, because it tricks it into thinking it's alive. Then you unleash it at people by ripping it away and pointing it at people. Duh.
Based off some of the Azurite powers, you're kind of not wrong.
No, that's a lot of how basic necromancy and controlling of ectomancy works.
But we're not controlling spirits.
God, do they teach you guys nothing in non-theater schools? Like, this is how you control the undead.
But yeah, it's all right. Like there's stuff to do that's actually pretty interesting, and I'm keeping up fairly good with the grind, and it doesn't seem all that bad right now. This patch actually looks okay. So, like I said, I'm grinding out the essences for the time being on 2 characters. My elemental is caught up fairly okay, but I've been lagging on the rogue, so I'll keep catching up the rogue tonight at some point. So, but the patch has been good. It actually, part of what they did was they made it so that you have to play different aspects of the game to unlock essences, and some of the good ones are locked behind PvP stuff. So, seeing people actually heal up in PvP and giving a shit on the strategy is kind of nice. Like, we went on a pretty decent win streak last night, killing shit, so.
I do have an actual WoW question for you when you're done with kind of this chunk of your week.
I think that's it for now. I don't think I have anything else at the moment. But yeah.
Have you dabbled at all more in classic WoW?
No.
Aw, man.
Not yet. Especially with the new,
No,
tier,
I
have
get
to
it. You have
start getting
actually
ready.
important things to do rather than relive hunters having dead zones. I get it. It's a good choice on your part.
Yeah. So I'm mainly focusing on live for the time being. Classic is alright, but I don't think it's gonna be for me.
Oh no, I've made peace with the fact that at least for a month I'm gonna play that son of a bitch when it comes out. I don't like the fact that I'm okay with this, but it's like, no, you're gonna play classic WoW.
You will.
You're gonna play an actual Affliction Warlock, not this bullshit the new Warlocks are. And you're gonna go into forums and be like, yeah, it sounds like a you problem that I'm OP.
Yeah. But other than that, like it's what else have I been up to? Not much really else. My it was cool. We had some really nice thunderstorms this week.
Yeah.
So I got to really enjoy that. I did officially come up with my 1 year of working at my job now.
Nice, yeah. I saw something about that the other day.
Yeah, and the week before was officially my 1 year of actually moving up here to Oregon. So, yeah, it's kind of nice.
I have some fun Oregon news for you, specifically Portland.
Oh joy!
Remember how you said there weren't a lot of e-scooters in Portland?
I saw them now. They started popping up all over the fucking place.
So it's that they were there, and 80% of them got thrown in the river. They've been restocked finally.
What?
That's fucking
They
hilarious.
dredged out like 1,000, maybe 1,000, but a shit ton of e-scooters recently.
Wow.
Yeah, and they have a different name or
It's like
something
3
out
or 4
here.
brands. It doesn't matter.
There's one out here called Lime, and they started popping up in my city. So I'm a little bit like, okay,
Yeah,
but
we've got every company's e-scooters here now, like everything. Yeah, we've had Lime, we have literally everything. I mean, I've seen I think at this point now about 6 different companies for it. So, yeah. There's a lot of companies offering that now, and yeah, I that's a thing.
yeah. But yeah, other than that, it's been all right. It's just interesting realizing that it's been a year now. Like, that's a thing. So, that being said, I don't regret my move up here. I love being up here, and I love my job, and just everything's good. Oh, and Harry Potter.
Oh, did you
Wizards
also play
Unite
the
is
Harry
a thing.
Potter game?
Yeah, I'm like level 11.
That game is hot garbage.
It's all right.
No, it's not. That
It's
game makes
alright.
Pokemon Go at launch look like a really good game.
It's weird because there's a lot of stuff to do, but I feel like there's too
There's
much
no
stuff to
point to do any of it either because they all fill up individual gauges that could just be a level gauge.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
And you have to then
So it's kind
push
of a mixed
all.
bag.
Then you have to you're not catching Pokemon. You're catching essentially stickers. You then lovingly press into a book to immediately forget about because who fucking cares?
Yeah, pretty much.
I wanted that game to be feeding 8 Dumbledores into a grinder so I could feed them to my good Dumbledore and make a better Dumbledore.
Jesus. What's this wanting to murder Dumbledore thing going on here?
Team Snape all the way.
Snape was also a good guy.
But he wanted to murder that Dumbledore still.
Because he asked him to.
Yeah. He's not a jerk. I'm just saying. He's like, fuck yeah, I get to murder Dumbledore. Hells yeah. Murder.
But yeah. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Nothing else from me,
Yeah.
other than, like, being glad I'm still allowed on the podcast after yesterday. Or after last week.
Mm-hmm. What have you been up to, Henry?
Well, the Legion season premiere was this week, and I love that show.
I heard
And
what's
the
his name's a
premiere,
bad guy in this season, kind of.
okay, and I'm going to say this, and I think Noah Hawley does this on purpose. The show is way more nuanced than that. There's not good guys and bad guys, and that's made abundantly clear throughout the whole series so far. That there's a whole lot of people thinking they're the good guy, and that's kind of seen as not a great attitude either. And so, and already this show has gone off to an interesting start. I don't want to, there's a lot of stuff going on there that I would rather not spoil for anybody. But it's freaking good. The season premiere, fantastic, absolutely fantastic, interesting the way that they introduce new ideas, new characters, and it's just great. It looks like we're in for another really fantastic season that's nuanced and thoughtful and stylish.
The third season's premiere reminded me I had not watched season 2 all the way through yet, so I'm burning through that quickly as I can.
Yeah.
Catch up. Yeah. For those curious about Legion, like a weird backbone of Legion is, we all know Charles Xavier, that guy from those X-Men books, that's a real great guy. Shit dad.
Yep. And that's canonical. I mean,
Yep.
That's the thing. It's like a lot of so they've introduced tons of new characters. Like most of the characters in Legion are not from the X-Men books. They're just not. And I think that was a good choice. But yeah, but the one thing that they have, made very clear, explicit is Charles Xavier is his father. That's comic book canonical and introduced into the show fairly quickly. So, but yeah, the show is fantastic. It's so good. It's so stylish. It's so weird in such a really interesting way. But yeah, its treatment of all of the characters has given, even characters that were just sort of, good guy or bad guy, or crazy guy, given them all a great sense of nuance, and it's just, they don't deal with the issues of like morality ham-fisted. They just don't. There's all sorts of weird gray areas and uncomfortable areas, and the show plays around in all of that, and I find it like just amazingly just impressive, just what they've done with the show. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to another great season of that. So yeah, I watch a limited amount of series because I only have so much time, and that's one that definitely makes my list. It's one of the most creative that I've seen on TV in a long time.
I'm looking forward to it ending so it can be an encapsulated thing where it's like, yeah.
Oh, I think they're absolutely like, I think there is a closed narrative here.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. Like, it's this is the story we wanted to do. We did the story. It as a piece of work is done, and we are happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, they have an idea that they're playing around with that's an overarching possibilities and thoughts about how it'll end, and they've been playing on that throughout the entire series.
Yeah.
And so I believe that it has always kind of been meant for a stop. How many seasons? I have no clue. But it is definitely meant to have a definite ending. If I'm wrong, but it feels that's the way they're trying to... This is the
final season. I think they said it was always going to be 3 seasons or something.
Yeah, I feel like that too. I think I remember them saying that. But in any case, yeah, I'm looking forward to having the narrative finish in a satisfying way, because that's what they've been doing all along. They've taken as many episodes as they've needed to. That's why the 2 seasons have different amounts of episodes.
Yeah.
They've just decided to take as many episodes as they need to actually tell the story. And it's really interesting. I feel like now has been a great time for these sort of interesting experimental series to come out. There's a lot of faith in them. Not every company and not every TV company, production company has that faith, but definitely FX has the faith in Legion, and it may be the best, I'd say, Marvel series on TV, and that's saying a lot, and maybe the best superhero series on TV, even though it's not a superhero series per se. In a sense, that is, it doesn't play out like The Flash or something. But yeah, other than that, I mentioned this last week's podcast as well. I watched a bunch of SGDQ, Summer Games Done Quick, and they reached $3 billion.
Yeah,
awesome.
$3 million to Doctors Without Borders. That's MSF, Médecins Sans Frontières. I butcher that every time I say it, but yeah, it's Doctors Without Borders still remains one of my absolute favorite charities. I of course gave during the marathon, and it was great. It for as much, and I'm kind of familiar with the kind of the preparation work that goes on behind it, because I'm sort of on and off, I guess, a part of the speedrunning community, even though I don't do speedrunning that much myself. I've been a big fan and been a part of it, and I know a lot of the prep work that goes into making it seem as well stylishly done and work as smoothly as possible, at least from the outside and looking at it. And I know the amount of work that it takes to make it seem that seamless and seem that smooth. And yeah, the great thing is like, that the money that you see coming up on those numbers, all of that's going to MSF, all of it. So
awesome.
yeah. So because like as far as their expenses are generally covered by a combination of sponsors usually, and so they know that, so that they can put it on and then know that the money actually being given during the marathon gets to go directly to Doctors Without Borders. It's so good. It's fantastic. It's for me, it's absolutely fun to watch. You can watch your favorite games getting beaten in very stylish ways and very funny ways often. They have lots of, like at this point, they have fairly regular special guests calling in. It's usually like the devs for a game, and it's always awesome to hear their sort of interesting silences and outbursts when they see a really interesting glitch being taken advantage of. But yeah, I end up watching a lot of the classic console runs. I don't watch as much of the new stuff. Like, there is a really good NES Gauntlet race. There's been a little bit of new tech thrown into Gauntlet runs. Technologically, it's actually an awesome game. And so the big thing about Gauntlet is it's all right. So for those that don't know what Gauntlet is, it's a top-down shooter. It was 1 to 4 player in the arcades, and they brought it to a home console. But one thing about it is, it was known in the arcades for having tons of enemies on the screen at the same time, like just filling the screen. Just that it can get to the point where they literally fill the screen with enemies, and you can fit a lot of enemies because the way that the perspective is, it shows a lot of level at the same time. But in any case, the way they pulled it off is, all right, so the NES and many of the classic consoles have limitations on the number of sprites you could have on the screen at the same time. For the NES, it's like 8 for most games, and for most of the time, it's like hardware limitations. But you'll play NES Gauntlet and notice that there's way more than 8 sprites on the screen. There's like 30 or 40. And how do they do that? It's all their background. They're technically not sprites. The enemies are actually background tiles that they just move around, because one thing that the game lets you do is you can print to the background tiles as much as you want, as well as having background tiles actually have a hitbox. And so they just did that magic, and it's seamless. They move a bit more blocky because they are moving according to being basically just tiled background. Like, they don't move as smoothly as the main character, but the effect is astounding. It's really a technological marvel. But the race of it was really fun. It was really cool, and it was very, very close. There's a certain amount of heavy RNG in the game. The items that you collect are going to be in the same places, but like the enemies and just other things that can happen, there's a certain amount of RNG that can mess with you in the game. But yeah, that was cool. I watched a speedrun of StarCraft. It was StarCraft.
How the fuck do you speedrun StarCraft?
Basically, it's a little bit different strategies than you would use against, in competitive esports. And essentially, it's one's just to basically put out exactly the number of troops that you will need to beat each level.
Huh.
So it's all based around building the exact structures very quickly. I mean, it takes the same meta skills that you would have to have for esports, in that you have to know be able to hit your shortcuts, hop around the map, and building up the right people, and just always being aware of everything going on at the same time. The whole spinning plates thing, in that you just have to be aware of multiple things going on. You have to make sure that they're all working out. And especially because this one uses Protoss. The Protoss, each troop that you make, and each is worth a lot because they're very expensive to make. And so there's a lot of making sure that nobody dies. And that's another part of the meta that makes it a little bit more difficult in that, but more rewarding, is that you really can't afford to have very many people die, or else you especially when you're running a speed run, because it's done at such skin of the teeth style. It's done at such a minimalist style that if you lose people, then you aren't going to finish that particular level, that particular stage, or whatever, that map, and so, or that mission. So yeah, that was interesting. I hadn't watched a StarCraft speedrun before, so that was cool. Another one that I had fun watching was Cannon Spike, which was a Dreamcast game, a top-down shooter. A lot of fun. But I had been watching Aquas prepare for it for a while, and so it was he absolutely nailed it. He absolutely destroyed it in the speedrun. But and it was a 1cc speedrun as well, because it's a game with credits, basically, because it's built like an arcade game. It's pretty much an arcade game. But yeah, and so it was a 1cc really good speedrun. NES Rygar is always a fun speedrun because it's still going through massive changes, like the speedrun itself, the tech and the strats for it. But yeah, SGDQ, I love watching it, and I always watch the Awesome Games Done Quick in the winter. There's also going to be a GDQ Lite of a sort at the next Twitch convention, the which I don't remember, TwitchCon, I think they just call it. But in any case, there's going to be a sort of a GDQ small version going on there as well. At this point, I don't know which charity that it'll be supporting, but they generally tend to choose really good charities to support, so looking forward to that too.
From the outside, it seems like this year was pretty drama-free, unlike some of the more recent ones. Is that an accurate assumption, or assessment, I guess?
I'm going to say this. With the greater numbers and sort of the more slick the production has become, there's less awareness of the drama that goes on. I mean, because it's a ton of humans, and ton of humans in one place means there's gonna be some drama. But maybe not the type of stuff that's maybe reaching wider news.
It's been a couple of years, but I remember there being some kind of truly toxic-seeming drama come out of it a couple of years, like 3 or 4 years back at this point. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, there's been some weird things going on. I've attended one myself. I attended an SGDQ, and yeah, I mean that's the thing. You get that many people together in one place. The fact that it's still, despite anything going on with either internally with the people actually running it, or with the people attending, the fact that it still manages to go on very smoothly is a testament to how hard everybody's working to make it work. This
is all good. Like, I only asked because there was a couple years back when they had like really good record numbers, and within days of the event closing, it was undercut by they did this super great thing. It was something truly terrible too. Like, one of the streamers just had like a slew of like molestation, rape allegations come out or something. It was real bad. You're like, what the fuck happened? And
yeah,
I don't want this to be overshadowed this year. So I know this sounds like me being extra negative. It's as much as I've never been into the speedrunning thing, the amount of money and kind of the goodness it is, I've always given them points for, and I've always been like, man, I just wish we could get a year where there wasn't some bullshit that came out after the fact. It sounds like this might be.
But like I said, the large amount of people that are involved in it now is
humans are terrible.
Just runners and the attendees. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, this is a bunch of humans, and you have to imagine, I'm always surprised that even in the years where there has been some drama, that it's still less than what I would expect from this many people being involved in a single project.
Sure.
And a long-term project. I mean, all right, so I mean, we also know that dealing with people on a 24/7 basis, which is basically what's going on for the entire week, that's exhausting. Like, I mean, because it is a 24/7.
Yeah.
I mean, how many events can you think of that are 24/7? Period. Just any event that's 24/7.
The Olympics.
Let alone what's that?
The Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the Olympics, something that only happens every couple of years, winter and summer. So, I mean, that's that for it to be that big, a 24/7 charity marathon. It's astounding, and I'm always very impressed every year. They have to make a lot of hard decisions and put in countless it's countless hours into this. So, yeah, great job. Over $3 million. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, praise to the runners and to the people running it. But I mean, that was a nice cap. I mean, I IG'd about it last night as it happened. Just took a picture of my monitor of just after it hit the 3 million mark, and so yeah, fantastic stuff. But that's pretty much my week. So, yep.
All right.
Very nice.
Cool.
Well, you've been gone for a little bit, Charlie.
Yeah,
so,
I wish I had more to report from my time gone. I did play some games. Destiny 2 is now very much a real part of my life. I think I talked about how I wasn't enjoying the Borderlands DLC they put out, and I full on tapped out of that. I didn't even bother finishing it ultimately. Like, it just, you guys talked last week about kind of you should spend some actual time thinking about whether or not you want to support Borderlands 3 from like a Randy Pitchford angle, and if you are playing another loot shooter you enjoy right now and own a copy of Borderlands 2, I really recommend playing that and then watching some videos from E3 or whatever showing the gameplay for that game, because I'm gonna play it because I know who I am, and that's unfortunate, but like I'm having some weird memories of back when the pre-sequel came out and a bunch of people that were big fans of Borderlands 2 going, why is this worse than Borderlands 2? And it's not so much that's worse, it's that Destiny 1 is way better than Borderlands 2 ever was. Which is it was up until a point there's nothing to compare it to. When you had a real comparison, it made that game significantly worse, and I'm not sure, a lot of stuff has come out this week about, like, you had Pitchford out there saying, like, without Battleborn, Borderlands 3 wouldn't be as good, and it's like, that's cool. Battleborn was real bad, and I remember playing it going like, man, these shooting controls don't feel good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we will see. I also played the Harry Potter Wizards Unite thing. I think everything me and Alex said a couple minutes ago is more or less my summary of it. Like, it feels busy in needless ways, and I really hate how forward-facing the microtransactions are in that game. Like, it borderline... I'm not going to say it's, like, aggressive the same way Clash of Clans. I almost called it Cash of Clans. Wow. Like, it's...
No, it's fitting.
Yeah, that's a Freudian slip.
Yeah, the Harry Potter Unite thing does not shy away from a chance to be like, if you bought some gold, this would be a better game. I always gave Pokemon Go points for, like, the money transactions were always there, but they weren't, like, at every screen. The game wasn't being like, you're out of magic right now. Would fix that. It's called money. Give us your money. Yeah, I
really do dislike the microtransactions in that, because it feels way more forced.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
There are so many of them in that game, I'm learning. Like, it's not just one place to spend money. It's, like, I guess to get into it, like, there's, like, 4 or 5 different, like, things you level up that all contribute to your level gauge, ultimately, but they all kind of play into slightly different activities occasionally, and all pull from, like, different resources, all of which you have to replenish, and all of which can be replenished via money, but, like, I think there's only one in-game currency. But if you told me there was 2 or 3, I would believe you too, because everything about that game's kind of consumable interface aspect, I find confusing and, like, aggravating. Like, I got a new phone since the last podcast, and I think, like, 2 days before I got my new phone, I downloaded the game, was playing it, and just didn't bother to bring it over. I'm like, nah, fuck that, I'm not gonna give it more of a chance. Like, it was the part of me doing it that way was me going, if I don't like the game, it'll just sit on my phone and I can ignore it. I don't even have to bother thinking about, like, do I want to install this shit or not? Yeah, maybe I'm being kind of too hard on it for a second, but, like, Alex, does it feel like all the improvements made to Pokemon Go aren't in the Harry Potter game?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah, like, the netcode feels bad. Like, the connectivity, the tracking of you feels bad in the way that not just, like, Pokemon Go, but, like, Ingress occasionally felt.
I mean, this is Niantic again, isn't it?
Niantic, those who don't follow this too closely, are the makers of Ingress, Pokemon Go, and now Harry Potter Wizards Unite.
They had also made Ingress before.
Yeah, and if you want to get real derivative, they've successfully made one game with 3 skins. Like, all of their games are kind of the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, like, I know Alex is more of an Ingress player than I was. I got into it for a month or two. Like, Ingress was... I would argue Ingress was the coolest but worst playing, but, like, Pokemon Go was that nice sweet spot of what you're trying to do and what you've done really work really well with what your system is. And the Harry Potter one just kind of feels weird. Like, it feels... Corporate's the wrong word, but very, like, movie tie-in-y, like, in a way I haven't felt the video game has in a long time.
Well, see, the thing is, it's not even movie-centric, too, because in the narration of things, Harry Potter's an R, but he's still super fucking young in the fucking Wizards Unite game.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't an R until way later.
Yeah, like, you brought back the Wizards. This game has a bizarre amount of voiceover instruction that, at least in my case, I fucking mash through because I don't have 3 minutes to listen to some scripted dialogue play out in a mobile game about me walking my ass around town. Like, I do not get who this game is for. Like, the Pokemon Go thing was, you fired up that game, like, within a minute you were up and running and you could just kind of go at that point. This game perpetually interrupts you to be like, hey, here's a new system, but it's not really a new system, it's just a new implementation of another system you already know, but we're going to have, like, 9 text fields of dialogue that are fully voiced for no fucking reason. Also, where the fuck is Ron?
Yeah.
Did Ron die and we didn't get told about it? Because he's not in this game.
Yeah. No, there's a couple weird things, and then also, like, you have 3 professions you can choose from, which only really affects, I feel like, when you're doing the
dungeons or whatever they're called.
Dungeons?
Castles? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the fortresses. Yeah. On top of that, there are 3 different structures you can go through, technically. There's the fortresses, there are the inns, and then there are the greenhouses. And the greenhouses are probably the worst implemented system they have in that game.
How are the greenhouses and the inns not the same, except the swiping controls are different?
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like I've encountered a 4th location you can go into as well, but I encountered it, like, once. No, it's like a hut zone or something, where it's like, yo, there's black magic here. And I'm like, I want to chill with these black magicians, and then it was lame. It's like, oh, it's just like, you're going to fight the same bad guy 4 times. We only have 1 fucking model for bad guy in this game. I'm like, oh man, this is lame. Like, let me fight someone cool. Or just like, I would rather this game went the, like, dudes in hoods with generic skull masks than what they do, where it's like, oh, it's a flaming piece of paper that's evil. And you're like, okay, what led this piece supposed to be evil? Oh, it's this evil piece of paper. It's got a bad guy's face on it. Didn't I vanquish this piece of paper like a half a block ago? No, this is a different evil piece of paper. Same wanted poster, but it's different. Same batch. It came from a bad printer. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
It's there's just a lot of weird stuff. Like, you can easily get rid of the greenhouses and not have any effect on the fucking gameplay. Like, you can completely get rid of the greenhouses because the concept of the greenhouses is stupid. Like, do you know how they work, by the way?
You swipe up and then you, like, pull a plant out of the ground.
No, there's more.
A shell
there's
game?
a second tab on the bottom.
Oh.
No, there's a second tab on the bottom right where you can plant the seeds you pick up from the map, and then you have to wait 18 hours and go pick them from the same spot.
So, and
you can't pick them remotely.
That's the shit I'm talking about, where it's like, because when you do that, I totally forgot about that because it's been a week since I played the game. I think like that the game will get right up in your face and be like, yeah, you can come back in 18 hours or money. Huh? Get that miracle fertilizer. Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a part of the monetization of freemium games. It is one of the things you sell is time.
Yeah. The Harry Potter Wizards Unite thing is bad enough. I thought about reinstalling Pokemon Go. Like it made me wistful for a better game of that style, and I have no reason to play Pokemon Go at this point in my life. I'm not in a city that's good for it or anything like that anymore. But this game was so bad. I'm like, how the fuck did you go from a good one to this? Like, this is correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is worse than Ingress, and Ingress is like impenetrable at this point.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, you would think that they would just take all of the improvements that they had done and figured out about their game engine, essentially. I mean, at this point, it's practically an engine that they're using.
Well, it's like Alex has talked about how you can like link your if you have a Fitbit or something, you can link it to Pokemon Go at this point. I don't think that's in Harry Potter.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not.
And that is something I was actively looking for. I'm like, oh, I walk around all day during the office and stuff. Like, that will easily get me, like, probably another mile of walking or something just based off that. But
yeah,
it's, again, like, make a weird comparison. It's the Destiny 2 effect where your sequel to a game should launch equal or, like, easily comparable to where the last game came from. And I know it's like, oh, it's Harry Potter versus Pokemon, but, like, it feels like a weird step back with way more microtransactions and graphics you don't want. Like, I don't like the art. I've never had a reaction of I don't like the art style for a mobile game because I've never cared enough about that. But, like, it's the Pokemon Go one works so well. It looks nice. It's fun. You're like, yeah, Pokemon. This one's like, fucking wizard with a enchanted shackle on their leg that's like, ah!
Yeah.
Fuck it.
And actually, one of the funny things about that game, by the way, is you know how you have to swipe the spells and do all that jazz? If you turn off the vibrate function on there, it makes the spell swiping a lot more accurate. The phone itself vibrating fucks with your tracing.
So you may have
on the
missed
screen.
it. Day one didn't have the option to turn AR off initially. And, like, are you ruining the point of the game at that point? Maybe. But, man, that targeting system is bullshit. Yeah, Don't play Harry Potter. Wizards Unite. It's bad. It's not good, at least.
Yeah, I'm. What's it called? I'm kind of about it right now. But I will say, like, there are a lot more stuff in Pokemon Go that I enjoy.
Yeah,
and considering I have an alliance, and there's actually a Portland.
Oh, let's not go
Discord.
into your bullshit, like, hoity-toity hippie. Like, what if we made Pokemon fun for everyone and not the intent to murder children's pets?
We have Henry, I don't know if you know about this, but we have an alliance set up where we take turns taking over the gym so we can get our 50 coins for the day. It's on a set rotation schedule, and we just kind of...
This whole alliance tells you more about Alex than anything else on this podcast ever.
But there's also I actually found out there's a Pokemon Go Discord for...
Portland?
For Clackamas County, which is the county I live in. So everyone there, like, it's a huge, like, with like almost 300 Discord people, where people who just live in the area, and we post like, hey, rare Pokemon's in this area. Hey, by the way, there's a thing of these Pokemon spawning over here. Hey, we're coordinating a raid and all that. So
that I am fine with. It's the idea if we're going to share this gym. That's just bullshit.
Yep, we share the gyms.
The point of Pokemon is to go out there, kidnap God from a power plant, and then track down people that didn't have the free time to track down God, and murder their pets and take their money and be like, sucks to be you, and then buy candy and lemonade and just eat it in front of them being like, this is so good, and bought with your money that you could have used.
Yeah. But, we did end up running into a situation once where there was a car in front of us, and that car was taking over gyms with us, and we just followed it around downtown and took over gyms and just sat in our cars. It was great.
And then the people got out and like slashed your tires, were like, Team Instinct forever, and ran off into the night.
We're Team Instinct too, so we were all working together.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
The person's like, why the fuck is this person following us? He's going to murder us.
Probably.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I have been playing 2 games aside for the Harry Potter game, though.
Go on.
First one is Adam's Lost Memories. It's an itch.io game. I've been getting into itch.io lately. I wanted more weird in my life, and Adam's is not so much weird as it is deep, horrifying childhood trauma portrayed as a horrifying, fairly linear kind of corridor-style horror game that is mildly unsettling for the mind and good, but also
Sounds
like
cool.
Yeah, like I'm trying to remember. I think it was Hatred or something. No, that's the school shooting game. Never mind. There's a game that came out like a year or two ago that was genuinely bad. That was like a trip through the 7 circles of hell or something like that. It's not Dante's Inferno. It was like a first-person kind of stealth puzzle game, and the two are similar, except that Adam's Lost Memories is good and scary and unsettling and makes me sad, and like it is weird recommending this game that feels unbelievably personal to the creator making it. Like the game just oozes, this is something that happened to me, and I'm using metaphor and this game to kind of maybe not therapize, but like try and like find a way to make other people that have not gone through this be empathetic with you. And I don't know the full details exactly. Maybe I'm just dense and the game spelled it out better than I thought it did, but like some shit happened that like should not happen to you, and this game is a direct result of that. And the game is amazing, but also like, but in that like terrible way where like it's great art made from a terrible situation that like, man, if this had never happened, we wouldn't have this game, and this game kind of feels important in that regard. But like, if the choice was this game existing or this not happening to this person, the correct answer is this not happening to that person, so this game doesn't exist. But it's like $5 on itch. It's again, it's not good. Like it's the like you still have to like you fail and you're like, man, I need to drink heavily now. It's early access. It had a couple rough edges, but like it. Again, I didn't have fun with the game, but I had fun with the game. Like, yeah, this is a great game. It's fun in the same way that God, what was that horror game everyone loved a couple years back? I'm blanking on the name. The one where the monster was chasing you the entire time. It was like the big Twitch game for a couple weeks. Scent?
Slenderman?
No, but kind of that too, but like less jump scary. Eternal Darkness? No, it's a different, better game.
Evil Within?
No. It wasn't action. You had like a lighter. It was like 1800s.
Penumbra?
No. These are all
Amnesia?
Yes, that one.
Okay. See, I'm a good person to ask on horror games because that is one of my favorite.
Oh no, I knew one of you would know it, but like, and this is everything you're saying. Like, this is no, you're right. Based on my experience, that is the correct answer, but not the right correct answer in this scenario. Like everything you've said is a game that matches this. Yeah. But on the polar opposite end of the spectrum from that, I played Judgment, the new game from the Yakuza folks.
Nice.
Yeah, I believe it's only on PS4 right now, which just sucks a little bit because I've gotten the impression the PC ports that they've brought over of the Yakuza re-release stuff has been real fucking good. If you've ever wanted to play a Yakuza game, but were like, man, I don't know how to get into this like decades-spawning franchise, and everyone's like, yeah, man, 1 and 2 are real important, but like you can't go back to them because they're kind of terrible in the modern sense. But Kiwami, which is the re-release of 1, is real good, but also like still has some of the problems of 1 because that's what makes 1 1. And like, yeah, you can start at 3, but like the coolness of Ryu, I'm blanking on the character's name, the Yakuza guy being like a orphan dad with all the kids at the orphanage, like it lacks the emotional impact. You even played the first 2 games, and it's on the PS3, and there's no other way of playing it and like tracking it down. Yeah, you can start with 0, but then you're missing like all the stuff that happens between 0 and the final one, and the final one's great, but also like bad if you haven't played all the stuff. Judgment is a reset of all of that, where it's a totally new story in that style. It's got similar combat, it's got the similar kind of paralyzing, ridiculous amount of stuff to do, and it's in the Yakuza verse, if you will. Like it feels like a Yakuza game that you're just not playing a Yakuza. Like, fuck, there's a Yakuza guy in the game that you bro out with, and he's like, yeah, I'm here. Like, that's the voice actor for him in Japan's when they got the game, like, pulled from shelves and redone and shit like that. Yeah. I'm not deep enough into the game to have a strong opinion yet, but I'm having fun with it. Like, it's, as a huge fan of the Yakuza franchise that, like, had to go through the, like, okay, how the fuck do I get into this franchise that I've heard is real cool, and, like, tracked down stuff to play the original ones, but, like, was like, yeah, these fucking original ones aren't great in hindsight. Like, they're cool, but they don't age real well at all. Kiwami's great, though. It is super awesome that a way to play one of these games without any of the baggage exists. I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. It is weird that this game has English voice options. If you're a fan of the Yakuza franchise, I recommend turning them on for a little bit so you can have the fucking weirdness of a Yakuza game being said to you in English, and then going back to Japanese, because that's how this game is meant to be played. But, yeah, it's cool so far. I will probably have more thoughts on it next week when I'm kind of more into it. Like, I'm 3 or 4 hours in, and it still feels like the game's like being like, hey, here's other shit you can do, by the way. I remember, like, Yakuza's the franchise that put Virtual Fighter in the game as a mini game. And I'm not talking like a fight from Virtual Fighter. I'm talking like a legit Virtual Fighter cabinet is in, I think it's Yakuza 4, where like the only thing missing is multiplayer. Like all the characters are fucking in this game.
Oh yeah, they've done that with every like, well, a lot of the newer ones in the Yakuza series, and that there are arcades. There's straight up arcades in those, and I've seen they had a really, perfect port of Afterburner, Space Harrier, yes, and Hang On, and some other games, all Sega games, of course. This is a Sega franchise, but it's kind of cool to be able to go and actually play those games, and there are often quests tied in with playing the mini games. Yeah. So
and
cool.
Like to maybe kind of belabor the point, but also like, on the opposite end of the spectrum, like aside from arcades, I think it was 6 had this whole like internet flirting game that had the voice actors from famous like Japanese porn stars just do the voices for their characters in the game. Essentially, like it wasn't people. No, it's fucking Onryo Okita. It's real. It's her.
Yeah, they did that. They did that in 0 as well, because you basically own a hostess bar, or at least one of the characters does, that owns a hostess bar, and so there's a lot of mini games. And yeah, as far as I know, like I actually looked it up because I got curious about it. Because somebody mentioned, I was like, oh, okay, so these are actually. I was like thinking that they were probably real people because they do that a lot in this series.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, those are actually like adult film stars.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's a weird kind of detail,
cool.
But like it feels weird calling this a Yakuza game because it's not. It's Judgment. It's totally different. But it's of that. It's got that same like, why the fuck would you have this level of immersion in a game? Are you complaining? No, but like, why the fuck would you do this? It's real cool, but damn. You could have just had anyone do this, and I'd been like, yeah, fuck it, whatever, who cares? But no, you went the extra mile, and it's impressive. Like, there are things to do in Yakuza games I have played that I just didn't know were there until someone told me. I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't even go down that alley once. cool. I missed out on a giant plot point of the game. Awesome. But also, like, man, playing that game that way was different. But Judgment's cool. I'm liking it so far. I will definitely play more of it next week. I fell down the Destiny 2 hole a little bit harder than I wanted to this week. It's funny, I'm saving chunks of that game's content for when me and Alex can play together on PC finally.
Yeah.
Like, there are 4 weapons I have queued up the quest lines for to a point where I'm like, okay, yeah, me and Alex are gonna go fucking grind for this shit. Like, if we're gonna do it. We're gonna go to Mars. We're gonna get some Mars weapons.
Mars is haunted.
No, the moon is haunted.
Moon's haunted.
Mars is infested.
Moon's haunted. There you go.
It's also full of war mines, but that's a separate topic.
That's
But yeah, that's what I've been up to for the most part. Yeah. Oh, before I totally forget. Totally on video game related, but kind of thing I think Alex will find fun talking about. Man, we talked about I got engaged a while back, etc., etc. I've been having cake tastings. Everyone should get to go through a cake tasting in their life, because as a heavier set man, the idea of people bringing cake to me and then like letting me talk about the cake in wine snob fashion is great. And them like having to listen to my bullshit opinions and conversing with me about like what frosting or filling flavors go right with certain flavors, and like the limitations of what the cake style we're talking about imparts upon the flavor or like the filling. It's fun. It's unbelievably dumb. It's also like, yes, bring me some cake so I may critique it. Yes, this raspberry filling is wonderful, but it's better than the strawberry, but it lacks the panache of the ganache. Yeah. I wish to try the fondant!
Tell me about the bouquet.
Yes. What I've mostly learned from cake
What's the vintage?
Yes. Tell me the vintage of this frosting. I understand you employ fancy frostings here. How many orphans were not allowed to taste the frosting? 7, you say? Brilliant!
That's awfully specific there.
It is dumb fun. Yeah. And it's me and my fiance too, so it's like fucking metalhead ass us and like quaint little pastry shops. They're like, they're gonna burn this place down if they don't like it. We're like, we will demand cake! Bring us cake. So that we may try it and then maybe employ you. Yeah. Everyone should get a chance to go through a cake tasting for a wedding. Then you have to pay for a fucking wedding, but like unless weddings aren't your thing, like everyone should get to go through a fancy cake tasting. It is fun. Ridiculous and fun. But speaking of ridiculous and fun, we got news! There you go, Alex.
This news segment today brought to you by Budweiser. Budweiser esports and video
games. I thought it was Bud Light Lime.
Does it?
I don't know.
It's all garbage.
Not actually, but unless saying so makes Budweiser owe us money, then Budweiser, money please.
Yeah, money please.
I will make lots of jokes about how you are officially technically a beer.
Yep.
Yeah, so we got kind of some major topics. Like it's weird. We moved away from doing catch-all topics, and then the news started dividing itself up into topics of kind of umbrella-ness for us. And I want to start this week off with Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney got out there and explained why the Epic Store is a good thing. And I don't disagree with him. I know Alex and Henry aren't on the same page with me, but like every fucking PC person that calls anything on the Epic Store an exclusive doesn't actually get what an exclusive is and needs to shut the fuck up. Like, it's not on your preferred launcher, I get it, but it's not like you have NVIDIA versus AMD graphics cards, and they're going, oh man, can't play Borderlands 3 on AMD, that's a NVIDIA game. Like, but that's what an exclusive actually is.
I mean, there's other news about launchers, but it's like, for me personally, it is a pain to own things on, virtually own things, and that's even worse. Virtually own things on multiple platforms.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody, with for example, if I go on the Humble store, many of those are offering their games DRM free.
Yeah.
That you can just download them and you actually own them. As our games in Good Old Games. If you go to Good Old Games, many of those games are also, if not all, I think, are offering DRM free downloads when you buy the game. So you buy the game essentially instead of buying a sort of a weird limited license of the game that you get through Epic or through Steam. But yeah, that's my problem with it. The thing is, like, it's just reminiscent of the console wars, which are still going on.
This is the thing people keep trying to drag it into, because it's not. You are not limited. You don't have to own two things to play all the games you want.
Yeah, I mean,
you
don't have to own different hardware.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference here. When the developer puts a game on Steam, Steam's not saying, hey, you can't put this on COG, you can't put this on Windows Store. It is only on Steam, and that is it. Steam is like, okay, cool, you can release on our platform. If you want to release on COG, if you want to release on Windows Store, that's cool too. Epic is like, you can't release any fucking where except us only. That makes it an exclusive.
But it's not. You can just...
Yes,
No. What did it cost you anything to download the Epic Launcher?
No, but the Epic Launcher is
So there's no
garbage.
barrier for entry.
Other than the fact that, the launcher is garbage and their store is garbage.
I think the Steam launcher is garbage. They're all garbage. All of them are faulty. Like, the Steam one crashes on me constantly.
I run betas and I never have it crash on me.
And this is the problem. Like, everyone has their unique reaction. Like, I have spent so many years hating Steam because of some of their account management bullshit they put me through over years that, like, I do not care about. I have no loyalty to any of these platforms. And I get it. It's nice having all of your game licenses, because that's what they are. You don't actually own anything on Steam, by the way. It's all licensed games at that point in one location. But also, how many of them do you actually play in a year? Like, I get it. It's fun having the digital e-shelf of games, but you're going to have a fucking desktop launcher icon anyway if it's a game you play with any frequency.
All right, and so the other part of it is, I don't like to run tons of stuff at the same time on my computer. Even though my computer's pretty powerful, I don't want to have to run literally 10 different launchers on my computer to play all the games in my library. And I'm already having to do that right now. That is, like because even though you download it through Steam or whatever, like, Origin is a thing, and Ubisoft has their own launcher.
You want to talk about fucked in this category?
Those are terrible launchers, by the way, like, really awful.
Yeah, buy a Ubisoft game off anyone's platform. You still have to go through Uplay.
Yeah, and Uplay is awful.
What is the point of putting a game on Steam if you have to go through Uplay? Like, that is the question I always go to, where it's like, why?
And that makes me even angrier. Now I have to download an additional layer of crap just to play the games that I bought, and it's just, it just seemed, I don't know.
It's stupid. I guess we'll agree to disagree, but it is exclusivity.
No, it is really not. It is, you can't, like, the idea that you're saying is exclusive
it's not hard. All right, so you're splitting hairs here. What you're talking, your definition seems to be exclusivity is only about hardware. But that's not the only definition of exclusivity. Software exclusivity is a thing.
But it's not, it's the Apple versus Windows, that's exclusive bullshit at that point. Like, it's
that's software.
Yeah, and that's software.
That's the same thing as the game.
No, it's not, because if I have Windows, I can't do Apple stuff. Everything you can do in Steam on Windows works on Windows, meaning it also, the Epic Store works.
Okay, tell you what, I want to leave a review on the Epic Store. Can't do it.
When's the last time you actually checked a review on Steam?
I do it all the time. I check them before I buy anything. I check through many reviews. I absolutely do. It's one of the reasons I seem to be such a slow adopter and buyer of games, because I wait and I check the reviews. I don't buy anything on launch.
Okay, so
about the only thing I've bought on launch so far, and it's practically the first time ever, is Death Garden. I mean, seriously, like this is it's literally the first game I've bought on launch.
Okay, so my counter to reviews
ever.
on Steam is Steam reviews are so useless. They had to develop a mechanic to prevent review bombing because groups got mad at a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they also have an option where you can set preferred reviewers, so you can see their reviews pop up at
Which
the top
had controversy about people
public
being
viewers.
influenced to buy shit and there being no controls on that.
Well, at that point, you have to choose your reviewer and run with that.
I'm not,
at that point, I mean,
I would
that's
go
where you
so far as to say I don't want a retailer being allowed to host reviews.
Well, it wasn't a retailer
Steam,
review.
Steam is a retail platform. You are reading reviews
it's a
on a
retail
retail platform. I don't think you should be allowed to have reviews on a retail platform because there's an infinite number of incentives to kind of mess with your opinion at that point.
Yeah.
You can follow specific user reviewers, is what I'm saying.
The same way that you can follow influencers.
I mean, the thing is, the same thing is on Amazon.
I think Amazon reviews are equally garbage. Like, how many times have you seen someone give something 1 star because shipping was a day late?
Yeah, but that's not... I mean, honestly, I've gotten really good reviews that have actually prevented me from buying a product that was obviously faulty. Like,
I'm not saying
and several
reviews are
of them come like,
useless.
yo, I had this for like a couple of weeks and it broke. And then I see that repeated a dozen times, people saying, well, I had it for, this many, like a month, and then it just started to fall apart. And I'm like, okay, this is not a quality product. Enough people have posted reviews about this that are actually, like, descriptive and been like, yeah, don't buy this. And on the other end, I've seen things like, like reviews like, I thought this was totally going to be cheap, and I still have it a year later. And, these reviews are absolutely valuable to me.
No,
way more valuable than I would say to reviews even on, like, say, Kotaku or Polygon. That I use user reviews way more than professional reviews to give me an idea of what people actually think of the product.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to discount reviews, but also I bought a game off Steam today that had the review, "This wasn't the game I thought it was." Spelled out what they thought the game was. They put the review on the wrong game. That is Steam reviews.
Okay, but do you have 20 people typing the same shit out in a row where there's a consistent
A
pattern?
bunch of people thought that review was helpful.
There are 20 reviews of it. At that point, it's personal research. You're drawing straws on this one, Charlie. Normally,
in the same way that people are willing to say it's exclusive when it's on the platform you're using, it's just not in the same launcher you're used to using. That's a bigger straw at that point.
I mean, for you, the main thing that you seem to be stuck on is you don't consider Steam to be a platform.
It's a launcher. It's a store. It's like it'd be the same if Best Buy and GameStop got into a pissing fight about where you could buy Bayonetta 3. That's the difference. That's what this is.
Okay, I think that's a better description of it.
Yeah.
In that they are...
Okay.
But the thing is, they become platforms because you can't play the game without that thing installed. You just can't. You can't play... Yeah, in either case. You can't play your Steam games unless you have Steam installed.
Yeah.
You can't play Epic games unless you have Epic installed.
And my argument is that, like, it's not exclusives when you have to buy a new thing in order to play something. That's the line. And maybe this is the kind of... I've been a console gamer for most of my life as opposed to you two. Like, the whole PC, like, oh, I don't want multiple launchers thing. It's like, can you play the game? Yeah. Okay, cool. Someone to bet there's some Xbox owners out there that are like, man, I wish console exclusives worked this way. I could just download the fucking PlayStation app to my Xbox One and play Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, but also I think that's a bad argument to say that, okay, well, this one is way worse than that when they're both different levels of the same idea. I mean, it's like, yeah, the console wars are really bad and stupid, but that's not to say that also this thing going on between Epic and Steam isn't also kind of stupid.
It's all corporate level shit. Like, it's what in the fight between Epic and Steam has actually affected either of you two?
If I have to buy it on multiple platforms or multiple storefronts or whatever, to own the same game, which is super, super dumb.
To counter that, if you bought a game from Ubisoft on Steam, you already had to install Uplay. So
Yep. Yeah, and I'm not happy about that either.
No, but I'm
I've
saying
just
like
expressed how
the idea of
much
having to
that pisses
buy
me
having
off.
separate things running is something Steam is already forcing you into technically.
I know, and I don't like that.
I
don't like any
Yeah.
of it. I have never said I like that either. So I don't see what your argument there is.
No, but it's fine when it's off of Steam.
What do you mean?
Huh?
What?
It's an exclusive then because you cannot play a Ubisoft game on PC without Uplay. Is that an exclusive at that point?
Not all.
Yeah,
Most.
it is exclusive. Ubisoft stuff is exclusive to their platform, to their launcher, which is garbage. And no, I don't like that either.
Yeah. You somehow seem to think that the hate towards Epic is somehow only
When is the
specific to
last time
Epic's launcher.
anyone got mad at Uplay except for being a bad system?
There was actually quite a bit of complaining about it
Oh
on
yeah.
Reddit too. And all
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah, especially
People
with an issue where they weren't
widely-
securing their shit properly.
Yeah.
How many
there's
years ago was
been
that? I managed
wide-
to miss all of this if it's been recent.
Within the last few months, somebody was talking about how there was weird security issues because they had weird login things popping
Huh.
up on their
Yep.
their login history.
No,
This is not new.
I managed to miss
Oh,
all
yeah.
of this, but
Yeah, Ubisoft Uplay has been a point of contention for a long time because they have not really improved it.
No,
They've changed the look of it,
it
but
is
the system
terrible.
is
I'm
still
not defending
garbage.
Uplay at all. My point being more the kind of outrage over the kind of constant exclusives. Like, as a console gamer, you look at this and go, fuck are y'all on about? Like, you can play the games kind of thing. And
But being less bad doesn't mean it's not bad. That seems to be your whole argument here, is that the console wars are so terrible that anything better than them is just good, I guess?
I think it's more the concept of calling it an exclusive. Like, fucking hate retailers all you want. I sure as hell do. Like, it is bizarre how much all of this has slowly pushed me towards GOG because of the DRM free aspect of it. Like, it's,
Yeah, and you know what? We have some stuff to talk about
yeah,
GOG,
that's
too,
kind of my
which
transitioning to that. Like, finish
yeah.
up on the Tim Sweeney thing. He got out there and kind of said that why they're doing the exclusive thing is basically like from a pure corporate angle of things, the Epic Store is better for game developers. They make more money off of it. Like, that's
Yeah.
an fight about everything you want. That is why the Epic Store is getting exclusive, essentially. You are
Yeah.
capable as a developer of making more money going to it. Like, it again, like maybe with that splitting hairs category, Steam has had an accidental monopoly on games. There is now a viable contender, and again, like, it doesn't have the full features, but also a bunch of the features people get mad about, I don't think as many people care about. I sure as hell don't. It launches games. Like, itch.io doesn't have the same functionality as Steam, and it's fine. It gets me games.
The difference is, though, Steam was never like, hey, if you're releasing on my platform, you can't release anywhere else. Steam was like, okay, if you want to buy it from us, you can.
But
if you want to buy it from someone else, you can too. Epic's like, if you're on our store and you're getting this, you can't be on any other store.
it's been mostly
That's the
timed
difference.
exclusive.
Which is really a heavily, and not unsurprising, anti-competitive measure. That's what Nintendo did.
Yeah,
To their devs for a long time. For the NES, as a dev, if you were like creating for Nintendo, they generally tended to lock you into a license where you could only develop for Nintendo.
and,
That's one of the reasons. That's one of the things that actually hurt Sega going on, is that they were having to produce more and more in-house because Nintendo was claiming exclusive developers even. So it's not like these business practices are unheard of, or where you're so naive to not realize the reason behind them is money. But
And the crux I always go back to, like, unlike the Nintendo thing, unlike console exclusives, there is no barrier of purchase except the actual game on the PC thing. Like, it really comes down to, in my mind, like, if Amazon, Best Buy, and GameStop started slicing up where you could buy games, that is what this fight is over, and that just seems
and
silly
that would
to me.
also make people kind of angry.
Yeah,
You could buy a game at one place and you can't buy it at another place. The same as like the fact that there's certain games. That's just, I would be pretty pissed about that. if it only came out in one store. Yeah, I mean, there again, I think they're both equally bad, terrible things. Just because the console wars are worse doesn't mean these are good.
But they're not equal then. Like, if one is worse, then they're not equal necessarily.
Well, I never claimed that they were equal. I don't think that was ever the argument. Equal. No, I said that they're similar.
You said equal.
But
I'm not
one is worse. The fact that one is worse than the other doesn't mean they're both. It can't be that they're both bad. Simply because one is worse than the other doesn't mean that they're not both bad.
Yeah, I think one is way less bad than the other, to the point where it's like people are gonna be mad what they're gonna be mad about, and the solution may in fact be GOG Galaxy 2.0, which the fact that there's now a market for a launcher for all your launchers is insane, but also kind of fun in my book.
I think it's great.
Yeah, it's so
because they're rolling in everything.
Yeah. Discord tried to kind of do this, I think it was a year or so back, and didn't quite pull it off the way you wanted it to. But like, this one seems legit. Like, it's so. For those not unsure what GOG is the for good old games. And it just started off as kind of a platform where you could put games up that didn't run anymore, and by whatever fucking magic they were doing, they could get shit like that Pod Racer game that I know from the Nintendo 64 up and running. I own like 4 games on GOG. Most of the Witcher games, they're DRM-free stuff. They're owned by CD Projekt Red, I think, is the connection there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are CD Projekt Red's thing, and CD Projekt Red is upfront enough about that. Like, when you're looking at pre-ordering Cyberpunk, they flat out say, hey, if you buy it from GOG, we get all the profits off of it, and then break down the percentage takes to the other launchers, which I found kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But in beta right now is GOG Galaxy 2.0. The launcher's never been amazing. It's fine. It's a launcher. It gets games up, lets you make a desktop shortcut. What this will allow you to do is unify all of your things, all of your launchers, essentially, under one banner. It will kind of list all of your libraries via just linking accounts at that point, which this just seems insane that this is even possible, but I guess like the Epic Store let me link like 9 different platforms together too, so this shouldn't totally surprise me at this point. Like, GOG has also done some stuff in the past with trying to give you credit for games or giving you DRM access to games you already bought off of Steam, I think, on a couple instances.
Yep.
I don't remember how far that program went. I know I signed up for it, never really came with anything of it, but yeah.
A few things. I got a couple of the games that I got onto GOG. And yeah, that's the thing, is like, of these good old games, these are the good guys. Like, they are the ones trying to make as seamless and easy of a store. I mean, they're the ones that are obviously anti-DRM, which I'm like, yes, I am a fan of point of sale, of that notion, of the point of sale notion. That is, what it means is, in that doctrine, the point of sale doctrine is, when you buy it at the point of sale, you own it. As opposed to this licensing bullshit that we get with practically every other launcher and every other store. Where you have a limited account access to this thing, and they could just as easily remove it from the store. Like, we know that the Telltale games have been pretty much removed from stores. And it doesn't, and so it's like, well, if it's, and I think, as far as I know, they still remain on your Steam account. I think
you can still download them, but yeah,
but they could just as easily remove it.
I think
anytime they want.
Where it gets weirder at that point, because I think they are technically taking something away from you. But let's take one step back too, and like, even GOG, like, it's if you're downloading something off GOG, you have no physical copy of that game. Yeah, there's ways you could copy it to a disc for backup purposes or whatever, but like, my PSN account games aren't real games. But you get an actual
DRM-free game that then, like, a version of the installer. I mean, that's the thing. You can download just the installer from GOG and then put that on a computer that doesn't have GOG on it. You don't have to have GOG to play any of the games you buy off of GOG. And that is another thing that is kind of awesome. Yeah. Like, I can run, for example, I was playing some FTL this week as well, a little bit, Faster Than Light, and I bought it through GOG, but I didn't have to run the launcher to run the game. I don't have to do that at all. I could just install it. And so that's the great thing about my GOG library. I know that I can just download every single installer and just have that on my computer and install it on whatever. It doesn't matter if I'm online or not, or if I have GOG and the GOG launcher installed. I don't need it.
No.
And that's what makes them the good guys, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Yeah. I will be curious to see how this works. Like, it's from a moral standpoint, I've always wished I've actually used GOG more, because I like the DRM free aspect of it, but also if I'm buying a game, I'm not sure I necessarily care that much about DRM free.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's the ability to play without actually, like, if I'm not online, and occasionally I'm not, like, if I, for example, remember when I was casting from my parents' place. Yeah. I mean, I can't really necessarily rely on being able to be online, and I don't want to, so. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I have to log into an online service to play an offline single-player game is dumb.
Yep.
No one's arguing.
Looking at you, Diablo 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
Launchers. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely that.
All right.
Moving on from that, we have kind of something equally financially based, and I know we kind of try and keep some global politics out of this podcast, but this week has made that impossible.
Yep.
And it's weird. Like, this is kind of a culmination of all the times I have said, like, I want regulation, but I don't want the government to be the ones doing it. Here's why. So, for those who live outside the U.S., the president of the current standing president of the U.S. is a big fan of tariffs. For those unclear what tariffs are, they're an excess tax applied to goods that come from various locations outside of your borders, essentially. Tariffs are a somewhat normal thing. It's often
meant as basically a deterrent, in a certain sense. Like, it doesn't cost the other country anything, and that's where the administration,
the goal
the Trump
of tariffs
administration is really dumb.
Yes,
it doesn't. Yeah, it's just supposed to make people less likely to buy a product from this other country.
Yeah.
So, because it makes it artificially more expensive by levying a tax on it. But it doesn't cost that other country. They don't pay that extra tax. Like, a tariff on products coming out of whatever country, that country is not paying the tariff. We are.
Yeah.
We are.
A lot of people. So interrupt for that. A lot of people confuse tariffs for like an import fee or something. No. Like, the idea that you're going to pay for anything outside, anything in a country with tariffs, means you are arbitrarily raising taxes or costs for the people inside of your country. It costs people outside of your country nothing for when tariffs are imposed. Like, on paper, it does hypothetically discourage the buying of certain goods, but like, if I go to a grocery store and buy milk and there's a tariff on Canadian milk importing, I think it's just milk as far as I'm concerned, and get confused when milk goes up $3 all of a sudden or something like that. Like, that's kind of how tariffs work, unfortunately. And I use the example of milk because where tariffs really kick you in the teeth is on specific goods. And there are some tariffs coming up in the U.S., at least, that are going to be targeted at electronics made in China. Know what's made in China? Video game consoles.
Video game consoles.
Freaking everything. But yes, also video game consoles.
And to throw some math at you real quick, say a video game console costs $400. That's a pretty normal price for your new slim fancy video game console these days.
Absolutely.
The 25% tariff on that means, for taxes, before anything, that console now costs $500.
That's a lot. That's a big jump.
And 25% isn't much on, like, a replacement smoke detector or a thing for your home, or like a small purchase, which most of these things are, kind of thing. It's when you get into more high-end products that the tariffs go from being an annoyance to an active hindrance. And again, remember, this isn't affecting the providers of these goods. This is a cost passed on directly to your consumer base, meaning, in this case, Nintendo, Xbox, and Sony aren't seeing any of this cost increase money. They're not paying any of this cost increase money. It's just assholes like me, Alex, and Henry who might want to go and buy the PS5 or the Xbox Scarlet or the Switch 2 that suddenly have to shell out more money that doesn't go towards the company we're buying from, goes directly to the government, which, depending on how you feel about them currently, is insult to injury at that point, and all it's doing is dissuading you from buying something that, like, again, like, it's a monopoly. Like, you can't buy locally sourced Xboxes. There's just Xboxes, and the dark reality is no company that does manufacturing like this is going to go, okay, cool, here's the U.S. branch. It just doesn't make sense. You would never bother doing that. And
what's even... Well, go ahead.
And that's the fallacy of tariffs. They don't encourage you to bring stuff into the U.S. They just encourage you to go, or wherever your local country is, they just encourage you to go, okay, fuck consumers, got it.
Yeah, and the really thing about this that has a wider ranging effect is the fact that there are developers that are entirely dependent on people owning consoles.
Yeah.
Like, many developers. I mean, yeah, we've been talking about PC games here, but there's a lot of games that are absolutely still console exclusive. Like, that maybe even on both, an Xbox and a PlayStation console, but are not available on the PC. I mean,
console exclusives are very real and very out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And so you have developers that are really reliant on that. So they aren't only, by dissuading people from buying consoles, they aren't only affecting, some of the console sales, they're affecting devs here in the United States. That's the real, and I think that's something that this article doesn't even talk about, is the fact that this tariff is not only a punishment on consumers, it is going to be a punishment to US-based developers in this country, of which there's a lot. There's a lot of major video game developers here in this country, and these tariffs on the video consoles will have that effect too. They are going to affect the sales, and that's the thing. It's like, it just goes to show you how dumb the Trump and his administration are about tariffs and about economy in general. Yeah, because they aren't even. There's no thought of the wider reaching implications of what this would do to a larger industry that's not just one product, it's other products that depend on this product. It would be like if we, I mean, it's just, yeah, like I said, it's further reaching. It's going to affect developers here, and they are going to have less sales. This will have a way depressive effect on the video game industry.
To use a very kind of real, tangible example for this, the new God of War that came out last year, critically acclaimed game. I fucking love it. I think Alex was okay with it. Don't know what your thoughts
console
are.
Exclusive.
I loved it. It was great.
Console exclusive.
Console exclusive to the PS4. God of War 2 is going to happen at some point. If I was Sony, I would probably try and be like, hey, the PS5's been out for a full year, and God of War 2 is coming. It probably won't work out that way. It'll probably be longer before God of War 2 happens. But you launch that game, and you go, okay, cool. This game will sell us some consoles. But now that a console costs an extra 25%, you have people like me going, man, I really want to play God of War 2, a game that's exclusive to that console, but I can't because I can't afford the thing to play it on yet, which still at 25% less is expensive, but like, man, I'm used to consoles costing X. I budgeted for that to be able to buy this. I can't buy that anymore. So it's not just the console that loses out, it's the studio that developed the game. And I know it's like, oh, then make all games not console. Sony's paying for that game. They can do whatever the fuck they want at that point. That game does not exist without Sony going, here's some money.
Yeah. And so I'm just, and that's the thing. It's like, it's a further reaching implication, just like the dumb trade wars going on that are affecting all the farmers.
Yeah.
It's just the wider range of implications have not been considered when making any of these economic decisions. It's ham-fisted, dumb, won't solve the problem it's supposedly trying to solve, will do nothing towards that, and will end up hurting both consumers and, as we've said, developers in this case. And developers based in this country as well as in other countries too. But it'll affect, because that's the thing, we're also consuming games developed in other countries too, and it's going to affect them all. And so I imagine a lot of these companies have already realized that about this, and I imagine they're all already trying to craft some sort of a response to talk to the administration about it, because, all right, so I mean, at this point, the games industry is starting to eclipse the movie industry.
It already has,
as far as
like it's
But in,
no,
but in any
past
case,
that benchmark, yeah.
When it is that much of the economy, when it is actually a large percentage of your GDP, and you're about to kick that in the nuts, I imagine some of these companies are probably going to be approaching the administration very, very soon and saying,
and that is the news article that this very long kind of lead-in has led us to, kind of in a like almost dystopian feeling. This doesn't happen ever. Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo literally joined forces to tell the U.S. government how fucking wrong they were.
Yeah. But I think what we're going to see is the developers are also going to be coming out too. But like it has brought the three together, realizing that in this case, we're all in the same boat. This affects us all. And yeah, they're coming out, and you could ignore, maybe some small little company. Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony are massive, and the three of them together, you gotta listen. You should probably listen to them when you've got three competitors all saying the same thing. There might be a point to it.
Well, so and let's get into that for a quick second. So they sent a formal letter, kind of explaining kind of why this is boneheaded, and in that, it spells out that because of this 25% tariff, the overall tariff is expected to kind of wound up it will generate $300 billion in tariff money. Remember, that's $300 billion from the U.S., not from anyone else in the world. Keep that in mind. And of that $300 billion, about $840 million would most likely be what the video game consuming community kind of winds up getting overcharged for on just consoles at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really hate when the government takes punitive measures, but it's really just punishing regular people. It always angers me. It's just a common thread in that the government will do something instead of a tit for tat against, people, making these laws, or the people that are involved in government and actually in policy. They just punish people. They just punish people over and over again. And, I'm not going to launch into a large tirade on this because I thought really
to kind of put this into a funnier category, and this is not funny, this is serious, but did either of you ever follow the black market for Rock Band peripherals?
I don't follow it. I'm very aware of it.
Yeah, so do you know this one at all, Alex?
Say it again?
Kind of the black Canadian market for Rock Band peripherals and Guitar Hero peripherals.
There's a black market for Canadian peripherals?
So it's the Canadian black market for Guitar Hero peripherals. So when that game came out, there were a Rock Band controller, the setups for those things cost a ridiculous overpriced amount in Canada. So you had people that were driving down across the border to clear out GameStops of their entire supplies and then selling them at twice the price up in Canada and still being cheaper than retail. This is how you get there. This is how you have me suddenly going, I'm going to go to Canada and buy me a PS5.
Yep.
Fucking import consoles from Canada now. God damn it.
That's already happening in some countries as it is, because consoles are very expensive in some countries. I've mentioned Brazil before, because the consoles there just literally cost a year's salary, new, and so I see. My thing is, I don't necessarily don't want the government getting involved. I want the government getting involved when they are in communication with the parties actually affected, like that, so that we end up with nuanced legislation instead of dumb, shitty legislation, like these tariffs. Like I said, and I even said this last week, and I've said it multiple times now, in that I want a conversation going on between the parties involved. That is, the government, the producers, and the consumers. And that's where we can get nuanced legislation that actually does the thing it's supposed to do. But...
Well, and if you thought that was enough political stuff for this week, I'm sorry, we got another one for you. And this one's a little... I don't want to say kind of zanier, but it's weirder, and I think makes it a little less kind of... It's still incredibly what the fuck.
It's eccentric.
Yeah,
in a certain
so
sense.
the tariff stuff is all going on. That's happening off with China and other countries that do more manufacturing. For those who missed it, the U.S. is picking a fight with Iran and Syria these days, and a byproduct of that is that you can't play League of Legends in those two countries, because sanctions cover League of Legends access, apparently. I didn't even know those games were super popular in those countries, but popular enough that it got out there in the news of, yeah, so this is a thing.
I mean,
That's odd, but okay.
Yeah.
there again, it's another example of what I was just saying earlier, in that the government punishing people, like regular people that have nothing to do with the sort of this tit for tat thing of this dick measuring contest between dumbass fucking leaders of countries. I mean, it continually pisses me off. It's like, why punish video game players because you guys can't decide who has the smaller dick? I mean,
And to put this one kind of into kind of a bizarre, not bizarre, add more flavor to this one. So I'm not sure how recently it was, but Iran is now part of the EUW, the kind of the European West League community, meaning like it has esports hypothetically.
mhm.
It's part of a larger, mostly European-based server network and stuff. Like from a purely bizarre category, and this maybe kind of goes back to what we were talking about a couple minutes ago, the idea of you don't actually own games anymore. Like, you can't access the servers that everyone else in your area can, that might not even be located in the U.S. because the parent company is based in the U.S., but this is where it gets dumber, but 100% owned by Tencent, a Chinese company.
Yeah. And so it's just, the whole thing is dumb on its face. It's punishing the people who aren't doing these things. They aren't the people involved in this dumb contest between dumb leaders. It's the people, I mean, it's like, even a quote from the article, it's just like, people don't have anything to do with it. The players aren't the ones enacting this stuff, and you're going to punish them. Like, what does that fucking accomplish?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to turn the people against the government for disallowing them. I mean, it's not going to foment some sort of rebellion because they can't play League of Legends. You're just going to have a lot of sad people that have now been cut off, maybe, from actually something that was probably can be positive. I mean, yeah, I've joked about how the League of Legends community can be really toxic, but you know what? It's also can be a opportunity for people from different countries to hang out and communicate with each other, and it just goes a lot towards humanizing interactions. I don't know, it's just... And League of Legends is not the only game that's affected, but it's just the one that's come up in the news, because it is still one of the largest widely played games in the world. It just is.
Yeah.
It's the esports equivalent of soccer. In that it's just really widespread. It's not necessarily super popular in every single country that exists, but it's pretty darn popular in most countries.
Just because we don't care about it does not mean it's not exceptionally popular.
Yeah.
And it's exceptionally important in the global spectrum of things. Like, it is... Like, none of us play CSGO. CSGO is also a monstrous game. Like, I sort of play Rainbow Six Siege. That's one of the biggest games out there that none of us ever talk about. Like,
yeah.
We're fucking sitting here talking about indie games like World of Warcraft and Destiny 2 by comparison. Because we're real gamers, as I push my glasses up my nose.
Yeah, put on my fedora.
Yeah, exactly. So we got one more political thing to kind of slog through. This one's a little bit lighter than the previous ones. And then I promise you, we'll have a real fun news article. It'll be uplifting. We'll have some other fun lifting ones, but thank you for bearing with us through all of this. This is actually kind of more of a follow-up to something we talked about previously, and that it is South Korea's game boosting laws, which were, to kind of summarize the whole thing at the time, when we first talked about this, it was like a year ago at this point, maybe, but probably not that long, like 6 months or so. South Korea was talking about... South Korea was talking about putting into legislative action the idea that boosting accounts or accessing online game accounts to boost, aka kind of power leveling your character via pros or whatever the fuck, doesn't matter, was going to be officially illegal in South Korea. We probably played it up more for a joke because who the fuck cares? But then kind of it was spelled out more in detail that it's considered more because of how internet access works in South Korea, it's actually kind of indirectly a form of identification fraud and stuff like that. You require a state-issued ID to access the internet, which we thought was kind of restrictive, but when you're misrepresenting yourself that way, it makes sense, and esports is such a big deal in South Korea. When you take a step back and wipe away all our bullshit podcaster yucking it up, it doesn't not make sense, actually, in kind of a, I kind of get it kind of way. And we actually have a follow-up to that whole concept this week that, A, makes it a little less dystopian than we probably joked about it being, but B, really kind of hammers down why this is actually important. And it has passed. It will come with an $18,000 fine and 2 years kind of suspended prison sentence if you break the rule. But it really is directly aimed at discouraging the kind of identity fraud stuff and the hazards that come with that.
Mm-hmm. And it is nuanced. I mean, there's nuance where the not everything is in the hands of the government. There is some trade-off. I mean, for example, certain parts, and as far as how illegal an action is, or if it is considered legal, depends on, for one part, the game developer. The game developer's rules or what regulations on that, like if they're more allowing or less allowing on it. Like they can decide how strict they want it to be by determine it by basically the contract. You know, every game you play has some sort of an end user agreement. And in this case, it depends partially on that, what the game developers decided. Whether payment was made and how often it was done. So it's not just a ham-fisted thing. It sounds like this is a very nuanced and thoughtful approach that they probably were in contact, and I know that they were in contact with game developers and esports, people to have a better view of this so that they don't just hop in and do something that doesn't actually solve the problem. In this case, it seems like they really took into account everybody's perspectives. And it makes a lot of sense because esports is, as you said, such a large, very important thing in South Korea, large part of the, an increasing amount of the economy, of the GDP is from esports, and as well as trade and stuff. I mean, it's important that there are some laws in effect to deal with some of the darker implications of what this, what can allow, as such as you said, a lot about identity fraud.
Yeah.
And identity theft.
Yeah, there's again, read into as much as you want. There's a great chart on Reddit as part of kind of, it's easy to find. You can just Google it to find it. That's how I did. That breaks down kind of the severity of what the law covers, and has the footnote at the bottom, here's companies that allow some of the stuff that this law says is illegal, which means it's fine, but as far as the laws is kind of thing. And the laws it covers the concept of smurfing, where it's you're allowed to have more than one account so long as the company's cool with that. We get it. You want to play low tier with your friends. Fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It mentions, that, for Overwatch, for example, unlikely to be affected because in that case, they're cool with it. They don't care that you create a second account to, like you said, whatever, play with your friends that don't play very often or whatever. It's also not going to be applied retroactively.
Yeah. So get your crime time in prior to this podcast going up. I think it's in effect now.
But yeah, this is a case of good legislation.
Yeah, it's
of thoughtful legislation that should happen.
It's legislation I'm not sure we're capable of in the U.S. because it would require someone to like bring a gamer into a lawmaker room and be like, "What's annoying about boosting?" They'd be like, "Fucking Smurf accounts, man."
Yeah, but I mean, it is. I mean, as we mentioned, like even like now, Bernie Sanders has even like made a statement on video games and crunch.
He has a Twitch channel now.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's the thing. He has a. But yeah, that we hopefully see more of this. Actual recognition that you can't ignore video games as this little niche thing in the corner. It is now a gargantuan monster elephant that you cannot ignore. And we should, instead of, ham-fisted ignorance, thoughtful cooperation. What a concept. But anyway.
As promised, here is your first kind of fluffy, nice, uplifting news article, and it's truly weird that we have this. EA executives are giving up their bonuses to allow Anthem to maybe pull it off.
I don't believe it, personally. I think it's hey, we saw Nintendo did this a while ago. We could do this too.
Yeah. Oh no! Like the little notes for this show reads: EA executives give up bonuses. ... Did we just jump timelines? Is this actually the Shadow Realm? Like that was my reaction to reading all this bullshit. Like we'll see if it actually happens. They've gotten out there and said that. Like it's been a weird week for Anthem. We have like executives, some of the most like cancel happy people out there, going like, yeah, Anthem didn't have a great start, but like in like a 10-year perspective, a bad launch can be forgiven. And you're like, who the fuck are you people? You're EA. You're supposed to be like, well, this game's a failure. Only sold 5 million units. We wanted 7. End it.
Yep. But yeah, it's definitely interesting, but let's just say that these executives are making in the millions.
Yes, and
as it stands, giving up a bonus. I mean, I'm all right. So to a certain extent, I'm like, okay, good, but also I'm like, it's not like they're really sacrificing here.
Oh,
they're
no,
not really sacrificing.
Like, and that's
that should also be clear.
This is where this gets
it
weird.
It may be a decent thing, but it's not like they've actually really given something up that's like life changing.
Yeah,
they've given up
the summarized
$1 million bonus on a multi-million-dollar yearly salary that already exists.
Yeah, to build off that, the idea of executive salary, the executive bonuses are like, it's extra money the company gives executives on top of what they're already being paid and on top of other stuff. It's literally bonus. Like, it is, and I'm not being driven. It's essentially like corporate tipping, except like tipping at most jobs that have tipping is like $4 or $5, depending on what your job is. And this is like corporate tipping in the, I guess I'll go buy that new Lamborghini this year because I got spending money. Got fun money all of a sudden. Yeah, we're not here to talk about corporate kind of pay structures and stuff because it's gross and it's what makes stuff like the Activision layoffs this year so bad. It's partially kind of what seemed to happen to Telltale to a certain extent, but like companies that have been struggling, you've heard stories of executives still taking bonuses and payoffs and whatever kind of thing. And whether or not this is actually to be believed or it's too good to be true, in a year that EA has not done well, the fact that the company is willing to officially get out there and say, like, executive bonuses are canceled, they're keeping money in the company for company reasons, shouldn't be something that shocks us, because that's, like, how businesses should work, and maybe executive bonuses shouldn't exist anyway, but in a year of the big companies doing fucking scummy ass shit,
this is
good guy
less
EA?
scummy. Well, less slightly less scummy EA.
It's wiping the slime off before it comes in the door.
I'm gonna hold.
But
my
you absolutely
reservations
should.
on
Like, this
one.
is... Like, anytime anything corporated says, like, look at this nice thing we're doing, you should be like, okay, cool.
Skeptical.
Yeah, how many baby
Skeptical
seals
is
did
the-
you
is
kill
the
out of
proper
aggravation over this? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... Yeah. Not to belabor that point.
speaking of kind of that similar vein of withholding skepticism, remember when Dr. Disrespect broke all those laws specific to California that, like, probably should be a serious offense and Twitch should take seriously?
Yep.
He's back.
Yeah.
Because he makes the money. It's money. I mean, they're owned by Amazon now, and so yeah, they just care about money. They've made it very clear in a lot of their pick and choose rule enforcement. Twitch just they're so inconsistent in their enforcement of rules, and it's all based around money. And it's maddening, but I mean, yeah, I guess that's just the thing everywhere. But,
Yep.
Yeah.
So let me put this out here real quick because I'm shocked.
We're all shocked.
We're talking about a company here that has no problem with people breaking the rules with near nudity.
Mm-hmm.
We have one where big names can say really offensive things, and they're still streaming. And then one of their big time streamers breaks the rules, and not just the platform rules,
Laws.
but state rules,
laws, actual laws,
and they're still on the platform after being gone
it's
for
just,
a few
it's
days.
just meaningless. It's just
I'm just trying to wrap my head around this because I never saw this coming.
I understand your shock on this one, Alex, and I think it's also worth kind of bringing it up as part of this, if you will. Like, we don't actually know what the fallout from the kind of legal aspects of this might be.
Mhm.
Like, as far as I know, the kind of California state law aspect of this is not settled as of yet. I could be wrong about that, but
and it's not like, all right, so it's not. I don't know if it's a felony or a misdemeanor even.
I assume anything involving children, that's what the law is kind of based around.
Usually a felony.
Is normally a felony, and those take a little more time to get off the ground, for better or worse.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't think we've heard the last of this, and I, for one, am looking forward to the fucking Dr. Disrespect stands getting out there and just being like, he did nothing wrong. He's going to film in bathrooms.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's against the law.
What do you mean it's illegal?
You can't film in bathrooms. No.
I'll go one step further. The fuck, it's
That's also just sort of like, that's something as a common sense sort of a thing, as a decent person sort of a thing, you don't do
yeah. I was gonna say,
anyways.
like, the why. Like, what about that bathroom? You're like, I need to fucking film in this bathroom. Like, the only instances I can think of make this whole conversation worse, where it's like, the only thing filmed in a bathroom should be drug deals or porn. And I think both of those violate Twitch and other legal rules, especially, like, in this case. Like, those are the only two acceptable things to film in a bathroom.
It just really irritates me when it's just so when they're so transparent with how much money means to them more than actually being consistent or actually adhering to their own rules.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people banned for bullshit. I've seen people like have temporary bans for like seeing a digitized boobie on screen. Seriously.
My pearls!
Yeah, seriously. I've seen people like, face suspensions for showing an 8-bit pixelated boobie on screen for a moment. And then for them to be like, which is not illegal at all. And for them to allow something literally illegal simply because the streamer makes them money, it's just maddeningly transparent on how much the rules don't matter if you're a money.
Maybe you can answer this one for me. How do you stream The Witcher 3?
What do you mean?
Well, so that game is chock full of boobs. Like, to get real sophomoric for a second, like, And I know people have streamed that game to an obscene degree. How do you stream that game when, like, maybe not the main part of that game, but, like, a large chunk of that game for some people is like, yeah, you can see some naked ladies.
Well, I'll tell you how. It goes with also, they don't enforce shit if it's a game that's popular.
Gotcha.
Seriously, like, same thing, like, I found, like, for example, they banned, Yandere Simulator from being streamed, which is just violence. And that's not even the main part of the game. The real main part of the game is actually sort of psychological warfare. If you actually, like, care to play the game, you can still download it free. It's mainly heavily psychological warfare. The killing thing actually has pretty big repercussions. Like, if you get caught at all, it's pretty much game over. And so it's actually, like, if you actually want to play the game proper and, like, make it through to anything, you kind of have to avoid that for the most part. Or be... And then you have, there again, like, The Witcher is fine. GTA 5, which has actual horrible torture, where he's ripping out somebody's teeth with a fucking wrench, with a not a wrench, but a pliers, and it's horrifying. And no, that's totally cool to stream. And there again, The Witcher, they only enforce stuff when it's not making them money. That's it. I mean, that's Twitch.
I am shocked that a company like Amazon would do such a thing.
Shocked, I say. Shocked.
Shocked, appalled, flabbergasted even.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know how else to be fucking sarcastic without literally just saying the tagline sarcasm.
Yeah.
Ready for more Twitch news? We're going to keep beating this one for a bit.
Sure, Twitch.
So kind of a smaller footnote, but, like, to come full circle on a joke we've had on this channel for a little, or not channel, podcast for a little bit now. Twitch has launched, I think by now, the time you're hearing this, a concept of subscribers only streams. Meaning we are just years away from going private on Twitch.
Yeah, I think it's something that they've been actually kind of needing for a while. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Oh no, it just further drives home the fact that Twitch tech is camgirl tech.
Yep.
Everything Twitch does, it's revolutionary. Camgirl sites have done sites, I guess, have done for the better part of a decade. Like, fucking bits and tipping, that's been done. Like, private streams, okay, yeah. Once you can go one-on-one with fucking Dr. Disrespect in a limited access stream, that's when it gets gross.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're going to be equally policed as any other stream. That is to say, with the same uneven bullshit that they've always enforced. But yeah, I mean, it's there again. It's a natural progression because it already exists in other streaming platforms.
I would like to announce that SWS's videos, once I get them back up and running again, will be streaming to CamSoda because they have more progressive rules than Twitch does.
Plexstorm, hello.
Yeah, but we're adding CamSoda. We're just covering everything now at this point.
We're just hitting all the platforms?
Everyone.
Perfect.
Just hit them all.
I think CamSoda allows gaming videos.
Fuck it. I hope they do.
That'd be a funny thing to add to our repertoire. But yeah, that's enough about Steam. Or not Steam, Twitch for a second, sorry. It seems like a moot point at this point, but we gotta mention it. That Steam Summer Sale has been a fucking mess for a lot of people.
Yep.
I believe it may be over the time you're hearing this, but due to kind of a bad explanation and people overreacting a little bit, there was panic amongst the developer community because Steam said, hey, if you win, you get a free game, and it wasn't clear how that worked exactly.
From the wish list.
Yeah, from your wish list, sorry.
Yeah, from your wish
list. Just your top game. It's not randomly picked from your wish list, although that would be amazing in its own dark way.
Yeah.
But it led to mass deletion and kind of panic amongst developers of people just clearing out their wish lists, which are relied on pretty heavily during Steam Summer Sales to generate funds. You know, it kind of makes sense to start doing a discount if you suddenly have 1,000 more sales of that game. But
yep.
Are either of you two heavily involved in this one this year, or nah?
Yeah,
No.
I'm taking part in it. It's kind of cool. There's this Grand Prix notion.
Which
where
team did you roll?
I am team. Let me think. Corgi.
I am also on Corgi.
Awesome.
Corgi is dominating
Yeah,
everything
I
right now.
literally
they are.
googled which team is dominating the Grand Prix and went with that one because I signed
I
up.
chose it because several of my Steam friends are already on there, so I was like, oh, okay. I'll just join the one that all my friends are doing.
I wanted to go
But-
Pig for personal reasons because I find a racing Pig pretty entertaining, but I'm not betting on Pig when one's obviously in the lead.
See, I picked Corgis, honestly, because I like Corgis. I mean, it's one of my favorite dog breeds. I think that's born in part to Cowboy Bebop
Sure.
having one of the best Corgi characters
Makes
ever.
sense.
Ein is a cupcake. He's a special cupcake, and he's amazing. But yeah, I like Corgis.
Yeah.
So yeah, Team Corgi.
So the ARG we're doing for Steam, it's been kind of away for a couple years. They've not done it quite as aggressively. Did either of you two miss it really? Like I missed it because I'd never. Like by the time I got into actually actively using Steam again, they'd stopped doing it. I'm like, oh man, where's the weird bullshit? And it's back, and I'm like, oh, this is the weird bullshit. Okay. Like it was just something that you felt was lacking from the sale process at this point.
Hmm.
No, that's a question.
I don't know. I mean, they always do weird.
Not
stuff,
always. Like
but
it's
the sale app-
been heavily reduced. This is the most weird stuff they've done in a couple sales.
Yeah, it's usually
That's pretty
It's
accurate.
usually their summer sale that they pull out something big like
It
this.
used to be the winter
I mean-
one though too, and like they've not done a like full on crazy winter one in several years. They've done like watered down versions, but nothing quite as extravagant.
Yeah.
So the thing that I've always enjoyed for the summer sale actually hasn't even been either the sale or the shit they do on Steam. It's the YouTube videos that people make prior to leading up to the Steam summer sale with like what's the Lord of the Rings battle with the was it Helm's
whole
Deep
thing?
or whatever
Yeah.
they call it?
Yeah.
Yeah, when they do that, and it's like you're a Steam or you're a person who has your wallet, like hold, don't buy until it's under 66%, and like they have this whole thing where it's just the meme on that. That's what I prefer way more.
No, it's
summer
fair.
sales nowadays.
My favorite joke of the summer sale was like a guy logs into Steam. It's like summer sale. It's like okay, cool. And then a picture of Gaben pops up on his monitor, just smiling. He's like, no, Gaben, don't do it. Like this chain drops out of the computer's hard drive. It's like, no, I'll behave. Gaben. It starts beating the dude till the wallet flies up and gets immersed into the monitor. I'm like, that is how Steam feels occasionally. Yeah.
Yeah. But that part's always been funny to me. Is just like all the weird memes that come from it.
So the one
Like-
meme that's used every sale. Fair
Mhm.
enough. But
Well, yeah, it's the one meme of the wallet, but they do it in such
Fair enough.
unique, fun ways. That's my thing.
especially funny
Yep.
because Steam is digital purchases. Like imagine if you had to pay in actual cash.
Mm.
Mm.
I would fucking love that, actually. Send us money, and we may send you video games.
It's surprise mechanics.
Yes. You want to bother talking about the Pokemon stuff, or just want to mention it kind of in passing?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not super into Pokemon myself.
yeah, I'm with you.
Don't
on that one.
don't at me. Don't at me.
Yeah, I mostly enjoyed the outrage this week over. That's why I thought I'd bring it up. Like, to summarize real quick, they're not fixing the Pokedex. Shut up about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I read about it. I did read about it though. Yep.
Yeah,
But nope.
they're not adding more
Alright.
Pokemon to the game. That's all there is to add. Like, stop harassing people about that. That's actually the more important story. We can leave that in for a more topic we actually want to talk about. Like the level of vitriol and harassment aimed at Game Freak, where it's like, we're not doing this thing. We must personally attack the people that work for Game Freak. That's fucked up. That's something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you got in the same week, Bungie getting out there and saying, yeah, weapon balances take so long because we don't want to put our fucking people through hell to make it happen. Like, we're sorry
Yep.
Lord of Wolves is broken, but it's going to be that way till August because that's when the next major patch goes out, and we're not going to, like, launch a specialty patch just for competitive Crucible, which I respect as someone who got fucking shotgun aped last night with a bunch of Lord of Wolves user. It's still annoying, but it's less annoying now that they're like, no, we're trying not to make our people's lives hell. I'm like, I can respect that.
Yeah, and that's cool. I'm glad that Bungie, now that they've another sign that they've broken away from the evil ones.
Man, I want to believe the hype. Like, it's... I want to believe that all of the like bullshit you've heard about over the years is an Activision thing, and it very well may be. But I'm just so fucking cynical at this point that I can't get away from it. Like, it's...
I can understand that,
especially when it's like it seems so prolific in the industry that it's the same week where we had this from a Treyarch that was like, "Yo, we abused the shit out of our QA department and like invite them to parties to kick their asses out after half an hour and say you can't drink or eat anything because that's for fucking closers. Essentially, we don't have to go the fuck back to work."
Yeah,
I'm being hyperbolic, but not really.
See, on the flip side of that, we have news about There again, Kotaku doing some really good investigative journalism.
Yeah, we're going to close it out with some nice news for you this week.
But just to mention it really quickly, apparently, like, the Treyarch has, who are known for like the Call of Duty series, have been really terrible about crunch, and QA bears the brunt of that. Apparently, like, they don't get to, because they're all kind of considered contractors, they don't get to participate in decisions and other even social stuff, and are kind of like pariahs. But then they bear the brunt of crunch because all the testing has to go through them. I mean, for me, I love QA. They are literally lifesavers, and I could not do that job. There's no way I could do their job. I would lose my mind, and I'm surprised that more of them don't. But in any case, it is such an overly valuable thing. It's like, it's got to be something you value. But yeah, some companies don't value humans. So yeah, but there's a long story, full story on Kotaku. Worth a read. It's depressing, but worth a read. There again, Kotaku doing some fantastic actual like investigative journalism, and good job. Well done. But yeah.
But to close out on a high note this week, we got two more stories of, I guess three more, I can throw one on here, of great kind of gaming-based people doing good things. Humble Bundle reached 150 million mark for charities, which is fucking awesome. Remember, they sell video games and other games too, technically.
And now, the Humble Bundles are a lot of book bundles. I
forget that they moved into like weird software stuff as well.
Yeah, and I have lots of the book bundles. Let's just say I have like over 100 books now from them that I've only read 25% of at this point. And so, but yeah, in any case, fantastic, well done. They give to different charities, so it's not all to a single charity. It's to many different ones, but very cool. We're very well done to them.
Yeah, this also comes on the heels of like Guardian Con, the convention for Destiny players. Like, they've been doing lots of shit with St. Jude. I think they passed the $1 million mark for funds raised for that this year or something.
Yeah, they crushed it this year at Guardian Con.
And
super cool.
What I always thought was cool is that like the community for that game gets really behind doing the St. Jude stuff. Like, with a few Destiny streamers I follow, my name is Bife, or I guess more YouTuber. Like, he's very aggressive at, like, once a year it's time to fucking beat you over the head with St. Jude shit, and I always give him points for that, because it's the stuff he does is not for everyone, but he's willing to be like, no, you fucking like my work, go donate to kids, do it.
Super cool.
Yeah. And on that same train, Square Enix, they're doing stuff to help raise money for first responders,
which is awesome.
Yeah, that's fucking great. And they're teaming up with Lieutenant Dan.
Is that who it is?
Yeah, Gary Sinise.
I don't know actor names, so it's like, okay, who the fuck is Gary Sinise? that
ice cream.
We're gonna save children, Square Enix.
Yeah, he's been involved in charities and in charity work for a long time. It's obvious. I mean, this is his foundation. It's a passion project for him. And it's super cool that Squeenix are teaming up on that. That's awesome. you can go to the Final Fantasy 14 website now and donate.
It's worth noting they are only saying they're going to match up into a certain point, but
yeah,
that's still fine.
I mean, match is
it's not
money
some
there.
What did I fucking say? Yeah, it's still cool. Like they're matching donations up to $50,000, which ain't nothing.
Yeah, the website that brings them both together is warriorsinthedarkness.com. And that is the website that, I mean, if you go just to the Final Fantasy 14 website, it'll have something about it, but this is the sort of combined effort website that you can go to. And
I'm really glad the person that designed the normal Final Fantasy 14 website did not make this website, because this would be a failure if they did that. This is actually usable.
Oh yeah. This is actually a nice informational website. Find out more about the charity. Fantastic stuff. I mean, awesome. Just awesome.
Yeah.
Just absolutely lovely. I mean, that's the thing. I like having, we actually had, there's a good bit. I liked it when we get to cover quite a bit of good news. I mean, like I said, the GDC, the Games Done Quick thing, the GDQ thing is just absolutely amazing.
Yep.
What they've raised just in 1 year, or in 1 week. And yeah, to hear stuff like this as well. I mean, hey, awesome. Square Enix is an interesting company, I'll say that. They definitely pull off some interesting stuff. But yeah, super cool. This team up here.
Yeah.
So
that does it for news this week, and I apologize for not sending this to you last week when I was out. We do actually have some emails that date back to last week.
all right.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Ready for emails?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you wanted to email us, Alex, how would you go about doing that?
You would simply pull up an email client of your choosing, and you just go on there and you type wickedawesomecast@gmail.com for the email address.
The email again, Henry?
That is wickedawesomecast@gmail.com.
And if you were hearing impaired and couldn't understand what you just said, where can you find those?
Bottom of the show notes, etc., etc.
We got a bunch of anonymous this week. We love getting anonymous emails. We love emails, period. But this comes in. Dear Wicked Awesome Cast, I cannot remember if this was you three or the internet that exposed me to the idea of that post-Game of Thrones Season 8, there are a bunch of kids now named after one of pop culture's most prolific mass-murdering war criminals. But if it is... But if it's a thought that it is a thought that I found incredibly amusing, since my daughter is in a daycare group with not one but two Daenerys's.
Oh wow!
Post season 8, one of them has begun going by Danielle, which I can only assume is a parent's decision. My husband and I joke about giving our kids reference names, but chose not to for reasons that we thought were obvious. But now I want to know if any of you have any good stories about parents naming their kids about references, or have known someone whose name was a reference.
Well, I mean, I know the fun story and the good story I have about that is, Robin Williams' daughter Zelda is named after Zelda, is named after the video game Legend of Zelda. That is why she has that name, and that's so lovely. I love Robin Williams, and that's a really kind of good thing. But Zelda, it's not like Zelda is a name that's never been used. It's just not as common anymore. I mean, there's a main character in Great Gatsby named Zelda, right?
I think so.
I have to remember that. Right.
It's
been too long since I've read that.
I have something more on brand with kids named Daenerys.
Okay.
I know someone who had to actively convince his wife not to name their first son Sephiroth.
Oh.
If we're gonna go for
I think all names count.
One of my classmates in high school years later had a kid, and his kid's name is Eris.
You know a fucking Eris, and you do. I
no!
I don't know what it is about that game that brings out people naming their kids after it.
Also, hilariously, you'll find possibly others named Aerith, because there's never.
I've heard both.
Because there's never been a consensus on exactly which one it's supposed to be as far as the romanization.
Yeah, I've heard Eris. I I mean,
I have more friends that chose to go like the Peter Parker approach, where they like have the double, like the what's that called, the alliteration thing for it, where their last name and their first name start with that as like an homage to that. I knew a Kent growing up who had an Uncle Clark.
There was a news story recently about a woman who graduated with a PhD, and her name is Marijuana Pepsi.
Of course it is.
And she said she's not changed her name because fuck that. I
made it that far at that point. Fucking roll with it. I have a coworker.
Pepsi.
I have a coworker who wanted to name his kid after one of the Conqueror or something like that. Like he pushed hard for some nerd reference names, which do you, I guess, but also like make sure they're obscure enough that it takes more than 2 seconds to Google it.
Mm-hmm.
See, my rule, if I don't have kids, but my rule for naming is like, don't name anybody anything that is too easily made fun of.
Rhyme it a couple times in your head.
Yeah, like
Bart. Can't mess with Bart.
Alex, I regret to inform you that there are numerous ways to mess with Bart.
It's a Simpsons reference.
Yes. But like for example, like my name, it doesn't really rhyme with anything. Like Henry.
The Y at the end is an icebreaker, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like orange. Not a whole lot's going to rhyme with it, and it's kind of hard to make fun of. I mean, so I actually in that way, like I'm kind of happy with my name. I mean, let's say that there's some nicknames made off of it, but nothing bad because it doesn't rhyme with anything.
Yeah,
I mean, think about it.
I fucking love the fact that there are kids out there named after Daenerys that, like, I get it, but also, like, don't fucking do that to a kid. Like, enough time. And here's the problem, too. Like, that thing was so pop culture penetrating. Third graders will know to make fun of your kid for being named Daenerys and be like, you gotta burn. On one hand, the trash talk of a bunch of like fucking 8th graders being like, yo, you got burn King's Landing after this, Daenerys, is a great mental image, but also that seems like a cruel fate for a kid.
Yep. Where's your dragon?
Yeah.
Which they will hear literally forever. Literally forever.
On the flip side, though, too, like, where is your dragons is one of the least annoying things you could be asked over and over. Like, fuck you, idiot.
Yeah.
It's not
great.
Hey,
well, don't kill the whole classroom.
Yeah. Yep. But thank you for that email, Anonymous.
We got another one. Dear people who provide me with horrible ways to distract myself with the internet. After the last podcast, I thought Charlie was full of shit and set out to prove to myself there couldn't possibly be multiple Instagram accounts dedicated to hatred to those electric scooter things. Sadly, he is right, and now I have watched multiple hours of people throwing scooters off roofs, lighting them on fire, and in general just destroying them either accidentally or very intentionally. Henry mentioned that this is a super legal, and as a second-year law student, I would like to confirm that he is completely correct about this, and want to put out that to the people that they are literally documenting acts of vandalism they are conducting.
Theft and vandalism, and just there's a nice cluster of laws here all being broken at the same time.
They do not have e-scooters where I live, so the phenomenon of hatred and destruction is fascinating but confusing to me, since it seems like people being dicks to scooters, which has actually caused the scooters to become a public nuisance. You also do lose some amount of proximity to scooters. Can you explain the circular seeming problem to me so I don't have to watch more videos of shitty teenagers kicking over e-scooters while screaming, "Fuck you, scooters"? For me, it's the fact that they're dangerous.
Wildly dangerous.
Yeah, I guess
because they go fast.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, little personal anecdote story time.
They go 20 miles per hour, and that is startlingly fast for something that is that has no protection on it whatsoever and is not very stable. I mean, motorcycles way more stable than these freaking things.
So, as like minor personal story time, so where my parents live now, I think it's like 5 or 6 years back, they started doing Segway tours and of the area because it's a nice part of town, et cetera, et cetera. And initially, the Segway tours were done on the sidewalk, and like I hope no one listening to this has ever been hit by someone riding a Segway, because those things are heavy enough and move fast enough. It fucking hurts, and it's enough to break a bone or hospitalize you. Like worst case scenario, if you were at full speed and you hit like a 70-year-old, you could kill them hypothetically. And this was a real problem, and a law got passed locally that basically banned Segways on the sidewalks. And the Segway people threw fucking tantrums where it's like, well, people won't go on this anymore because it's not safe to ride them in the street. And they're like, no, it's not safe to ride these, period. And then they put bike lanes in, and now like the exception is they can be in the bike lanes, but they have to move out of the bike lanes when they're stationary because bicyclists kept running into them. Justly so, they come around a corner and they'd fucking stop to be like, look at this historic bullshit. Scooters are that, but worse in my mind. So like,
they go way faster.
They go real fast, and so like I suspect you've seen this now, having watched so many scooter videos. Like I don't follow the ones that are just people destroying scooters, because you're right, that's fucking people being shitty and stuff like that. It's the Instagram that documents people like just doing fucking hit and run on people on the scooters I follow, because like I have now seen, I think at least on 2 instances, someone die from getting hit on a scooter, or at least getting severely hospitalized. Like they go 20 miles normal. Imagine that thing's coming down a hill on the sidewalk and it just hits someone.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those ones where it's I live in LA. There's a huge issue with bicycles on sidewalks that like this is even worse than, because at least bicycles you have to like put effort into getting going. Like it's illegal. And I get like the argument is like, well, it's dangerous to be on a bike in a street. There's no bike lane. I get that, but like for human beings, your bike is more concerned to me than the fact that you might get clipped by a window. I'm sorry. The chances of you hitting me are way higher than a car hitting you, kind of guaranteed kind of thing. And the birds have no rules. These scooters have no rules.
Yeah, I mean, and that like, if a bicycle hits you, it's not going to hurt as much as these freaking things, because they are less controllable. Like their ability to turn. Yeah. Like on a bicycle, you could swerve pretty good and miss somebody. Like, let's say you turned your head for a second, and then there's somebody, oh crap, I didn't see them. There's a pretty good chance you can probably swerve around them on a bicycle. That ain't happening on one of these scooters.
Yeah, based on wheel size and braking capabilities alone, like, for those not clear what we're talking about, Google them, they're fascinating. Basically, you've strapped a motor to a fucking Razor scooter, and we all remember how fun those were to stop.
Yeah. But yeah, you strap the motor to one of those, and it's obscenely strong and fast. And you can't, and pretty much out of fucking control, because you can't steer them worth a shit.
And on top of that, like, a lot of videos exist of them just failing. Like, people will be driving and they'll hit a curb, and you'll wipe out. And, like, remove the people doing dumb shit with them kind of category. The things say, hey, you should wear a helmet while you ride this. There's no way of guaranteeing. It's like, oh, nanny state, blah, blah. But no, it's the fact that, like, I have seen pictures of people with, like, fucking baby Bjorns on an e-scooter, where it's like, you understand you're going to kill your kid, right? Like, it's... You've presented an opportunity for people to be dumb in ways that... Again, I don't believe in people being stopped from doing dumb shit, because handle your shit. But, like, it's... The fact that there aren't lawsuits popping up about these things constantly, that's the issue too.
They're coming. I imagine that they're coming because, just like you said, the hit and run stuff, where a lot of people are just smacking into people and then just taking off. Yeah,
because again, you can get away pretty fast. They're zippy, like you can do it.
Yeah, they're real fast.
Yeah. I've seen now too many videos, courtesy of the social media accounts, of like a person on an e-scooter being on an e-scooter, someplace they probably shouldn't be. Like, the funniest one I saw was someone was like turning around on an e-scooter and they got fucking T-boned by another asshole on an e-scooter, and the first one had just gotten done hitting someone. And I'm like, oh, this is great.
Oh,
like, this is fucking amazing. Like, this is exactly the problem with this shit. And, like, yeah, the fucking teenagers going over and kicking them over because memes, they're assholes too.
Yeah.
But people aren't getting hurt in the same way that some of this e-scooter shit is. And again, like, it's you should be responsible e-scootist, I guess that's the right word for it.
Yes.
But also, like, people are scum. And if I can get away with it, not me personally, but like the idea of if you hit someone with e-scooter, you can fucking hightail it out of there and be consequence-free, most people will do that.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have like a big license plate on them that you could maybe catch, and then...
It was the asshole in the orange backpack.
Yeah, it's like, on an e-scooter, it's like, okay, that doesn't really help. Yeah, there's no... I mean, that's one thing they might have to consider, is they might need to actually have, like, license plates and things like that. Better identification, but in any case, yeah. Yeah, so, yep, e-scooters are garbage.
Yeah.
Or at least what they've become and the way they exist right now.
Yeah,
I've ridden on one, and it was fun, but I was also like, this is horribly, horribly dangerous.
Yeah, I've been in proximity to them a bunch lately. Like, and like, this is where it gets weird, because like the people fucking throwing them in the Portland River, they are also assholes. But like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. Like, if my dog got run over by an e-scooter, I will put as many of them in my car as I can and throw them off a roof. Like, that's... I'm gonna be honest about that one.
Oh, yeah. If something happened to like a puppy or a kitty, and I knew of it, like to my puppy or kitty, I don't have one right now, but yeah, I would kind of lose it. I would be the one like gathering them and setting them on fire and throwing them off.
Yeah, I gotta give all these people the benefit of the doubt. Like, the people that are really going ham on this whole like destroy these fucker things aren't the meme assholes. They are people that are like actively angry about them, and not all anger is actively justifiable, but like, it's such a small jump in some of these cases from like finding them annoying to having a real defendable problem with them that like, yeah, like, don't fucking make bonfires of them, but also like, I get it. Really do, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like I said, if they like hurt somebody I knew, or a pet that I know, I would kind of be on the let's set them all on fire and make a bonfire of these horrible things.
One of the accounts I follow posted something where someone like contacted them being like, you do get that by posting these things, like, you're proliferating vandalism and shit. Their response to it was good. Like, like the people being shitty meme people is getting us the desired result of getting these fucking death traps off the street still.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the right thing, but army of teenagers trying to get YouTube famous destroying e-scooters is... yeah.
Yep.
Got 2 more emails. Hey, Wicked Awesome Cast. I just finished a multi-day move across country post-college. Post-college move for my first real job, and thought you all might enjoy that. There were you three almost caused me to crash a rental moving van twice because of various bits. Henry Ford is a monster and must be stopped, and please leave the puns to Alex. It's incredibly weird when you other two pause for puns and the implied, you get it? You get it? Pause. Since you lack Alex's natural childlike glee when it comes to bad jokes.
Yep. VIP writer right there. I don't know if we can send him some sort of VIP thing, but yeah.
My roommate and I have officially unpacked our new apartment, and we have realized that while we own tons of video games, we really don't have a lot of anything useful like cups, pans, or pans to cook in. Since both of us, this is both our first apartment, and we both lived in provided housing while in college. Since all of you have uprooted your lives a few times for big moves, I was wondering if you had any recommendations for kitchen equipment to buy you wish you'd known about.
Yo.
I just love this email.
Yo, and I absolutely do. I'll say that. All right, so one thing is like the best if you want cheap, good stuff for your kitchen that's actually going to last. Go to some of the various discount places like Ross or TJ Maxx or Marshalls. Those are kind of all across the country, so you're likely to find one or the other of those. But yeah, you go into those and their kitchen stuff is high quality and it's super cheap. So if you want high quality stuff, I'd say go there. Because it also won't force you into buying a big package of things you probably don't need. That if you buy at a big box store where you get like 100 pans that you'll never use, yeah, you just I'd say go piecemeal. Go to them. I mean, also if you want even cheaper and to get maybe inconsistent, go to a Goodwill. Totally go to a Goodwill. I buy stuff at Goodwill and Salvation Armies all the time. I have a really good Goodwill just down the street. I have a lot of clothing and a certain amount of just appliances, kind of little appliances and stuff. So yeah, also you can find stuff there. And you'd be like, oh wow, this is like professional level quality pan for like $3. Sure, I'll buy this. So yeah, that's my recommendations for buying stuff. I mean, I guess you probably know what you need and what you'd like to cook with, but as far as where to buy it, that's my advice.
I suspect.
Go ahead.
I suspect you'll back me up on this one. If you're looking for a really good kitchen gadget, especially if you're not good at cooking stuff yet or anything like that, get a fucking Instant Pot.
I was about to say that Instant Pot is the way to fucking go.
It doesn't cook meat the best, but like the amount of stuff you can cook without ever turning on a stove or ever kind of using extra pans or minimal pans is real goddamn high. Like it's make sure you get a big one because the small ones, like, it is one of the few times I would recommend like going like big and fancy because a lot of those things do it. Like I have two of them now. One of them I use for small stuff. Like one of them, like those not sure an Instant Pot is. It's technically a pressure cooker, but it's not. Like this is a device that can cook fish, meat, like potatoes to done in about 5 minutes. Can make yogurt, technically. I've used to make yogurt and does it really fucking well. Rice, overnight oatmeal. Like the thing is variable as fuck. Like you can make meals literally by like putting your meat at the bottom on some tinfoil and just stacking other shit on top of it with layers of tinfoil, or like they make like separation grates and shit. I just bought some of that shit because tinfoil's getting used a lot. Like it is possible to cook like an actually healthy, good-looking meal in a half hour that's got like well-rounded bullshit to it, and just this thing. And it's fucking witchcraft, but it works. There's a bit of an obnoxious learning curve to it, and it seems it's a little counterintuitive, but also like fuck, it works.
I would also kind of say like if you want just something kind of really all-purpose chopper, sort of, all right, get one of those Magic Bullet. I mean, I have an off-brand version of the Magic Bullet, the little bitty blenders that are sort of like just a cup and sealed, and those are really great. I use mine all the time because for a full-size blender or like a giant, these are really small and they're really easy to clean. They have few parts, so it's just like it's really easy to wash. Whereas like a full-size blender or even more as a food processor, those things are a freaking pain. And so for any blending or mixing or chopping or anything like that, those things are great. Like I said, I don't have the Magic Bullet actually or whatever. I have an off-brand version that I bought at Big Lots. Big Lots, another good place to buy actually lots of stuff for really cheap if there's one around you. But yeah, I'd say buy one of those, buy maybe an off-brand NutriBullet because you're probably rarely going to find a use for an actual full-size blender or a food processor. But getting something that does the job of all of those things, that's pretty cool. I make marinades with mine. I make soups. I just chop vegetables with it because I'm too lazy. I mean, So yeah, that's another thing I say might be useful.
I'm gonna wrap this one up here with this one and say, get a George Foreman grill. George Foreman grill.
They're a
they've
pain
made
to
some
clean,
improvements
though.
on
I'll
them.
say that.
They're a pain to clean. But like, if you're looking for just like the trifecta, the magic bullet you mentioned,
Yeah.
the Instapot will cover a huge majority of all that
Yeah.
stuff. But if you absolutely need to have some sort of like griller, you can get like a George Foreman.
And they're
But to be
they're
honest with
cheap.
you,
They're cheap.
yeah,
They're easy and cheap.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've had great success with using them in the past too. So
Just
yeah.
use a stove at
Yeah,
that point.
I
get it.
I mean, I have an electric stove here, so
For me, it's just
I
that
don't exactly have.
No, fair. I live in
cook-
California. We have
they-
gas.
they
and
cook a
everything,
little- because it's on two sides. Because it cooks on two sides at the same time, it'll make food a little bit faster. Faster is often a thing that's the thing is like the number one rule to cooking that I've learned is patience. Don't try to rush any recipe. But if something naturally makes it faster, such as the hot pot or the George Foreman grill, that just it won't ruin it. The fact that it's faster doesn't ruin the thing. It's because of the nature of the actual tool itself. Yeah, it's kind of nice to have stuff that actually maybe can cut a little bit of time out of food prep, especially if you're only doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
So one of the things Mandy does here is we'll make a bunch of like chicken breasts inside the Instapot and just throw a bunch of seasoning and all that stuff in there. Let that cook through, and once those are, because they get done really well. Like the chicken is really tender when you do it in Instapot. Yeah, once that's done, keep that liquid in there. Throw some fucking rice in there and let it cook in that liquid.
Mm-hmm.
Easy fucking dinner for a few
You
days.
also have the problem. You said you have an electric stove. That's a whole other kind of nightmare. If you have a gas stove, they make these like $10 things you put on top of the burner that turns it into a grill. But yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
electric, so
See, I have gas, and I love my.
You live in
gas-
California.
gas
Everyone
grill.
has gas in California because gas is
Yeah.
cheaper. Power
Yep.
is not because AC.
Yep,
mm-hmm.
Last email.
sure.
Dear Wicked Awesome
Sure.
Cast, while listening to Charlie try to fight his cynical nature and Alex calling him out for it last week were funny as hell. The stance taken that you might essentially straight up lie to an influencer, or as it was phrased last week, manufacture a superfan moment, struck me as odd. Like Alex, I begrudgingly have learned that if it comes to cynical dark, Charlie may actually know what he's talking about, no matter how much you don't want to believe his brand of poison to seep into something, to seep into your view on something. I know the gaming industry has a weird history with events, and found myself wondering if any of you have ever actually been the target of this type of influence. Probably mostly likely be you if you were involved in any of that stuff, Henry. The rest of us have been peripheral.
You involved in a
Well, like
artificially created
I
moment.
think what he's
you mean,
talking
or-
about, like, and it's I'm not sure necessarily any of us would have gotten to experience it. Like, I want to say that the 90s and early 2000s were fucking lousy with weird like retreats to show off video games to reviewers and shit like that.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I've heard so many stories of like Call of Duty like taking people out to like paintball ranges and shit, and then never actually playing the game and just being like, "Yo, we made a video game," and that being an event, I guess, or something. Like I know what he's talking about. Like these stories are out there. Like fuck, I think we talked about it in the thing he's referencing. Like they flew a bunch of people out to play Battlefield 2 or not Battlefront 2, and then surprise, they had nice things to say about Battlefront 2.
Yeah, I mean it's I guess the thing is, as long as it's transparent, I don't care. I mean, there's been a lot of reviewers out there that have been totally transparent of when they've been gifted a game. They're like, I got this game for free, and so be aware of that when I'm talking about it. It may well be perfectly genuine actual review, but it's like there are ones that aren't upfront about this stuff, that don't talk about how much serious money they've gotten behind the scenes for this stuff. I mean, I'd like to pull out the scummy thing that we pointed out several months ago now, which was for the sort of real life loot boxes that two prominent YouTube streamers were pushing. on their channel.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what they didn't happen to mention in their streams, but what was found out is, yeah, they've been given thousands upon thousands of dollars to make these promotions. And that's what makes it extra scummy. I mean, in that case, the system itself, what they were promoting was scummy. But in some cases, yeah, I mean, I think it's just, I think it's really scummy to pretend as if, or at least as if it's a purely organic and genuine review you're doing when you're actually doing it for lots of money. And yeah, that's, just the artificially generated, happiness or surprise is it's just really cynical. And I've seen that. I've seen it happen. I'm unhappy with it when I actually find out what's going on behind the scenes. But yeah, it's super scummy. And I think as long as they're again, like I said, if they're upfront about like, yo, they just gave me a bunch of money to talk about this game, to review, to give a review on this game, and I'm going to tell you straight up, yeah, they gave me money to do this. I'm being sponsored by them, but I'm going to try to give you an honest review anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And I can respect that, but that's for the influencers. I'm going to say that's not super common.
Well, like, take it wide for a sec. Like, the fucking Firefest was it failed, but, like, that was what we were talking about right now. It was a thing that you paid and kind of made influencer buzz around, designed to let you live like an influencer, which is a whole other fucking bullshit. And I'm not saying, like, fucking Max was out there pushing Firefest, the thing you should go to, but I work in the theme park industry. Like, it's a lot of people have very nice memories of times at theme parks or things at theme parks. I'm not trying to take that away from you, but like some of the more iconic parts that like people take photos in front of or whatever, conversations are had around like, hey, we have to give people a chance to like make memories at this thing. And I'm not saying your memories aren't real and like they're not precious or whatever. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not an asshole again on this topic. Like, they're manufactured because you want them. Like, you want to be happy, and like part of my industry is letting that happen. But also as a result of that, like I've been in too many meetings in my life where like we've sat down with like marketing and had conversations about like, okay, cool, what are our Instagram spots for this thing? Like, what?
Yeah,
the finish for this area has to be higher because every fucker that ever goes to this thing is going to take a photo in front of it, and like it's what they're going to. It's the world we live in now. Like this is the spot everyone who comes here wants to take a photo at, and that's normal. It's fine, but then we spend some time making sure it's special and different, and the light lines up with it correctly. And oh, did you know there's a spotlight there to make sure you were better lit? Like, oh, it's so nice they did this. Oh, it's amazing. I got perfect whatever. No, we did that. That's a thing. I spent a week going over fucking bullshit with someone to make happen, and we're happy it worked. We're happy you are happy. That was the goal, but it's not spontaneous. Like,
yeah,
EA paid Ninja $1 million to play Apex Legends on day one.
Yep.
Might Ninja have played Apex Legends? Who the fuck knows? Did that $1 million...
Probably, he likes those kind of games, but yeah.
Did that $1 million definitely probably have something to do with why he was playing a new game on launch day? Abso-fucking-lutely. Like, that one's more transparent. And again, like, take it back to what you're referencing in this email. I'm not saying Square made up a moment for Max. But also, if I'm Square, you drop that trailer, I am trolling YouTube looking for, like, the 10 biggest reactions that seem genuine to that trailer and being like, they gotta be at E3? Yeah, bring them in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a weird place. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, games are made in a similar way in that they are supposed to very much provoke certain reactions. That's no accident. It's totally planned. I mean, that doesn't necessarily, planning a moment that could be shared as happy or interest or fun or whatever that in itself is not the nefarious part. It's more little more complex than that.
Yeah, like it. Yeah, to put it in the gaming kind of perspective, like it's with some very specific exceptions, like people are making games to be enjoyed. Like, fuck,
Yes.
the game I talked about at the top of the podcast, the what was it, Ian's Lost Memories or whatever it was called? I don't get the name right.
Yeah,
Adam's Lost Memories, like that.
Yeah,
that game is not a happy, fun in a traditional sense game, but like it's designed so that you can experience something with other people. If you're fans of the YouTube channel, like Apartment, the depression game I make fun of every once in a while, was this game designed to invoke feelings of loneliness, and everyone that played the demos for it kind of had the same reaction of like, fuck, I want to go drink after I play. Like, yeah, the developers, like, that's what we wanted you to feel from this game. Like, it was very intentional. Like, that's what we were going for. And
yeah, that's what I felt like with this War of Mine as well that I mentioned, just a few weeks back. Same thing. It's like, it's an experience made to be experienced, not necessarily joyful, but I mean, that was the point. It was created to make a specific experience.
Yeah, and I only bring this kind of little tangent up in this case to kind of like, I am super happy for Final Fantasy VII people they're getting this remake. Like, it looks cool. Like, fuck, I wish Jeff was still on the podcast because he cares a lot about that game more than any of the rest of us do. Like, we range from jaded to who the hell cares about that specific game.
Yeah, well, about the re-release.
Yeah.
I mean, as we know, I've mentioned multiple times now that I straight up own the game. I can literally look to my left here at my computer, and there it is. There is the actual original PlayStation version of Final Fantasy VII. I just own it.
Yeah.
It's just mine.
Yeah, and
so...
Again, I'm not saying like Max is not being genuine, but like... It's one of those ones where it's the... I know I come off an asshole whenever I say this type of stuff. Like, it's not me trying to ruin people's parades. Like, as much fun as I have kicking some of the stuff Alex talks about, I like conversations, and like people genuinely seem excited for that. I think all the YouTube React videos are as real as YouTube React can be. But like, if any of us wandered in, like, had equally kind of popular React videos, I don't know what the treatment would have been in like that case. There's no way of knowing, and I'm not saying like manufactured experiences are bad. That's video games at that point. Like, you're supposed to experience similar shit. Like, Destiny makes you feel cool. Amnesia makes you scared. Talking about Sonic should depress you and make you feel uncomfortable. Like, that's the point of these franchises.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's in the details.
Yeah, and especially with like E3 getting weirder and weirder, and the kind of like the open combat's the wrong word, but like it's been the last year since E3's been a fucking weird year for journalism and influencers and how that kind of all plays together in video games. Like, fuck, we had IGN have that guy that ripped off a bunch of YouTuber, they ripped off Shotgun Gaming's videos for Dead Cell review. Like, that's fucked up in itself. You've had the Apex Legends stuff I mentioned where it's like, would this game be popular if Ninja hadn't streamed it? Who knows? But yeah, like, hell, even like the Dr. Disrespect stuff is weird because if any of us broke that law, we wouldn't be on this podcast right now, probably. We'd have shut the fuck up about it, not been all flipping on Twitter being like, this law's gonna, like, I'm untouchable, bitches!
Yep, that's a big confirm right there.
I'd have contacted our legal team that'd been like, you need to shut the fuck up and leave California. I'd be like, you raised some compelling points!
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like you said, don't let my brand of cynicism fuck with you or something like that. Like, be happy for shit. Like, that wasn't what I was trying to get at. It's more a knee-jerk reaction I have to any time I hear about this stuff. Like, it's like, to use another example, like the whole, like, we were talking about earlier in that episode, I think, too, like the whole cyberpunk, you're breathtaking thing. Like, that thing has become, it should have been a fun moment, but the fact that someone's out there being like, I was the breathtaking guy, that's shitty at that point.
Yeah.
But also,
there
like,
again,
well,
it's not the idea itself. It's kind of what's done around it and the details around it that can make it more or less cynical.
Yeah, and like it's one of those things where like, they take it one step back. The fact that like CD Projekt Red was like, "Hey, we'll give you this free game." It's a nice thing. They super didn't need to do that.
Yep.
It's cool if the guy spun it back. It's like, "Hey, donate to this charity," but also it's kind of like from the opposite. It's like, okay, so someone offered you something for free, and you were like, "That's cool. I want this instead." Like that's There was a way of looking at that that genuine interaction and going like, "Okay, dude, this is like $200. That is like $10,000. How about we buy you a month's worth of Wendy's instead and split the difference? Like you can give it to whoever the fuck you want."
Yeah, it's a bit weird, and I think it just depends on what what's done with these moments, and it comes down to the people and the details of it, but yeah.
That does it for emails this week. Sorry they were a week late. I'm not saying I'm glad I was here for a couple of them, but because they were fun emails this week, but wish I'd gotten to them last week because I've had some fun with them. But yeah, that does it for this week. Email us at wickedawesomecast@gmail.com. Spells it down in the show notes, etc. I apologize for those that sent emails that referred to previous podcasts. My bad. I was having a problem breathing. Not problem, but God, did it hurt. But yeah. Anything you want to talk about before we get the hell out of here?
I'll just mention that you can catch me as Kraken Zero on social media. That's ZER0. And you can also catch me as on Nomad HAR on my channel on Twitch on the very occasion that I actually stream. But yeah, that's my information.
That's true.
And I am Mave Online on all my social medias. That's Twitch, Mixer, YouTube Gaming, Instagram, Twitter. I post things occasionally. Facebook Gaming, Facebook, Mave Online. I have the public page for that stuff there. And with the release of the new raid, not this week coming up, but the following week, expect at least 3 streams a week on just raiding content. So, yeah, because we'll be pushing progression as much as we can. So,
indeed.
Yep. And I won't be a rogue this time. I'll be an elemental shaman for this.
I keep with this kind of theme this week. Anyone doing any charity work they want to talk about lately? Like, you're doing Extra Life this year, Alex?
I am. We're actually working on getting the Extra Life Portland release meeting sometime in the near future. I don't have any specific date stuff yet because we're still kind of working on the details. But yes, we do. I do have an Extra Life page set up for this year. You can actually find it at extralife.maveonline.com. I just made a shortcut URL that'll take you directly
get that to me. I'll put it in the
page.
show notes for the time being, especially this week.
Okay. Yep. So other than that, that's it for me anyway. Charlie, do you have anything?
Nothing. I don't think. Getting married is complicated and hard. Cake tastings are fun.
Yeah.
Don't have an allergy attack and a flu at the same time. Your throat will catch on fire.
I can imagine.
Am I forgetting something? I honestly don't know.
Nope. Other than, do we have a studio?
Yes, I'm actually, after this podcast ends, going to go outside into the studio and work on it more.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. I think that's it. Well, Charlie, since you're back, you want to take us out?
Cue the metal.